Hello, everyone, and welcome to this week's Fight Night Rising. Just a bit of a delay, but we are here and ready for some TFT action with Boopasaurus once again. Boop, how are you doing tonight?
I'm doing all right. As you said, there was a little bit of a delay. All my fault. By the way, everybody, Windows updates. Make sure those are good to go before your day starts. I think would be a good idea. But I'm in a different room. We're in a different environment. Maybe that means some different kind of shenanigans today.
Hey, maybe it does. I mean, we've had another week for players to, solve the patch. I don't think there's been too much variance there,
hmm
honestly, but we'll see how these players are going to approach the game nonetheless, because we have a bit of a new lobby. Some of our greats from last week, Numano not making it, not advancing to this week, talking about the kind of legend that Numano would be building here on Fight Night, but it has been cut short before I think either of us had expected it. But yeah, we got our 8 players here today. Boop, why don't you go ahead and introduce some of them?
We have got our returning champion Riku from last week, our resident Warwick player. Then we have I Like Hobos, joshychann, Young Jame, Wolfie from the Pokemon community, within ParaGG and Remalakabro to round things out.
Yeah, and all these players going to be competing for that prize pool as we have every week $200 up for grabs, $100 of that going to the first place, second place with 50, and third and fourth place earning $25 apiece, but only the top 3 will be invited back for the next week. Now, talking about Riku being the resident, Warwick player, I'm sure there's going to be a couple more Warwick players coming in today like we saw last week as well. But who's going to hit and who's not going to hit basically is going to decide those games there. It's just kind of how TFT is in a meta like this. Honestly, it's just who hits Warwick, great, you're top 4, and if you low roll, don't hit your Warwick too. It's a bit of a struggle, or you hit it really late. So we'll see how
Mhm.
that's going here today. But what have you been liking in this meta, Boop? What have you been kind of preferring?
So it's actually been really intriguing. Around where I'm at, which is that like a diamond area, it seems to be getting pretty tanky right now. In terms of we've got some Vanguard changes, I know. So I think that might have just been like first day, let's try some things, if that
Yeah.
makes sense. Like yesterday, and then moving into today, it's been kind of more of the same. I've seen a lot of people just really hoping that Talon is back for some reason. And maybe we'll see some of that. Last Whisper also got a buff, I think, to kind of counteract some of the Vanguard changes that we had. But yeah, it seems like we have a little bit of a tankier front line to start with, but that's been kind of the only major change, I think. And that's not even major, it's pretty minimal when it comes to what we're seeing in TFT right now.
Yeah, definitely. Starting off with I Like Hobos here. I Like Hobos has done very well in the TFT tournament scene recently, especially here on Fight Night, and done pretty well with the in the realm of the NA qualifiers as well. Got to the I believe top 8 lobby in qualifier number 1, just barely missing out on that top 4, I believe. But starting off with Nidalee and Rod, gets another Rod as well. Don't see too many players slam a death cap, so hopefully the third item will be a little bit better there.
Part of me is always just like, do it. Do it. You don't have the courage, but you also have more brain cells than me, which is why you're not doing it. So with the double rod start, Khroen, what are you kind of hoping pops out of your next orb? Like, what would be best case scenario?
Oh man, I mean, best case scenario, I know a lot of players actually do are okay with a Luden's opener. It's still it provides a lot of upfront damage, and it can flex into still some decent items later on. You could go with something like an Ionic as well. You could maybe slam Morellos. And probably people don't really like doing that too much, but those couple items are going to be solid in this early game. Generally, not a fan of the rod start personally, though. Like either I know we've had people in the past say they like tier openers. Watching some streams recently and playing a little bit, liking a bit of a chain or a sword opener. But yeah, there's going to be a little bit of new stuff going on here with the patch, of course. And so, yeah, see how players are going to adjust, because it's always interesting seeing how players adjust actually, because it doesn't quite go to as we predicted a lot of the time.
It's true, and even when there is a pretty set decision when it comes to how players are working with the meta. I'll never forget that week where everyone was terrified of Morgana, right?
Yeah.
And we like barely saw her that week. We saw her. I mean, admittedly, she won once, but we only saw her in one of the final lobbies in the top two. So a lot of things can definitely change even within the first 48 hours of that patch. You'll see
Oh, yeah.
some players go mega risky and do something totally different, and then you'll see some players just do like these micro changes. All right, now that vanguards are good, maybe my opening is going to be more, like what we're seeing right now, which is like that Wukong with that Hecarim who did get a buff in that last patch. So I think the openings were affected a little bit, and we're going to be seeing some tankier front lines, I think, a little bit sooner. But where the damage is coming from is all usually coming from the same places as they have been.
Yeah, and speaking of a little bit of different openers, I like Hobos getting the Dusk Vein. A lot of players will stray away from grabbing that Dusk Vein, but I like Hobos wanting to preserve HP in the early game, leveling to 4, playing the strongest board, a couple of sharpshooters, couple of vanguards there, and of course, as we talk about, vanguards have gotten buffed, slamming the death cap as well. A lot of players wouldn't do that, but I like Hobos has, and has still lost 3 units there, so it is in the bottom of the lobby in terms of HP, but it's still very, very early in the game, of course, on 2-2. I'm sure that ILikeHoboes will be able to win some other matchups, having, again, aggressively leveled to 4 and slammed items and taken a chosen unit as well.
The scary, like, I think 99% of the time with I Like Hobos, that's true. But one thing in Fight Night that he has always struggled with is when he starts slow, even at
Yeah.
this point, right?
Yeah.
It is almost, a straight line in terms of, all right, if he's in 8th place on the first carousel, he'll finish in 7th or 8th place. That has been anti maybe once or twice total, and is, I think, 6 or 7 weeks here so far, of those top threes. So that is the one thing that I definitely do worry about when it comes to I Like Hobos, is how much of a cushion he starts out with, because when the health economy seems to suffer, he seems to suffer as
Yeah.
well. And the option paralysis comes, the mouse movement, I do it as a slight meme, like becomes a little bit more frantic and not as intentional. As we go
Yeah.
over to our defending champ, Riku.
Yeah, defending champ Rico, kind of opposite start there of I Like Hobos, 2 wins in a row instead of 2 losses. Has these warlords in it seems like, and is scouting the rest of the lobby. The sign of a good player you can't underestimate. Even scouting from the early game, seeing what direction people are going, seeing board strength, how they should position, because positioning differences, even like slight stuff in the early game, making the difference between going on a full win streak can really propel you into a really, really good mid and late game. So like seeing Rico do that, especially as a defending champion, but going up against young James, who leveled up to 5 aggressively before the carousel. Riku's comp is not going to be strong enough to deal with this, and this is a strong opener for young James here.
When you have the ability to just kind of like beat out a round in terms of leveling out, right? If you just do it one round before and you have the economy and you're not really going to suffer much from it, I say try to push that advantage, especially if you're a part of that 100 HP crew at the
Yep.
top. You need to continue pushing that win streak, because you can't just say, okay, I'm gonna level up and then not win.
Yeah.
Right? Like, if you're going to be that aggressive, the plan is to continue building your economy through those win streaks. So that's how you can get these crazy legendary comps a little bit later on if you do that perfectly. Right now, we have 3 different people at 100 HP. So not everyone's going to get the whole kit and caboodle when it comes to the win streaking, especially early on. But one of these people will, and one of those people will most likely finish in the top 4, maybe even the top 2, depending on how the rest of the lobby goes.
Yeah, definitely gonna be a higher percentage to achieve both of those results. Speaking of leveling aggressively, though, I think it was actually in the first game of last week. Asian Gamer, I believe, was a player who leveled very, very aggressively. Went to like level 7 to like 3-2, and things like that, and used that advantage, I believe, to it was like I think went fast 9 with it, saved HP, and got legendaries. Of course, played the Zed because they're Asian Gamer and they always play Zed, but didn't actually end up making it to the top 3, making it back to this week. They had a couple of disappointing performances after games 1 and 2. But once
Mhm.
again, we are in the perspective right now of Riku, the lobby winner from last week, they have now slammed a Hand of Justice to pair along with that Sunfire. Both solid items, a bit flexible there. Could see Riku go a bunch of different ways. Of course, Divine and Warwick nerfed a little bit. I think there is still a lot of potential to stick with that, though. But gonna see if Riku is going to be still that Warwick main, or if their sights have shifted to something else.
I think with the Hand of Justice opening start, it allows you to be, like you said, a little bit more flexible when it comes to what your late game comp is going to be. So a lot of compositions like the Nami double bubble, for example, is item dependent, right? You need the Ludens. You have to have a Ludens in order for that to work. When it comes to an item like Hand of Justice, there are a wider variety of people who can hold that. That can also be your primary and secondary carry. You're gonna find value out of it. And sometimes if you flip wrong, that's when you 50-50 wrong, that's when you have a little bit of a struggle. But as of right now, that Hand of Justice is providing a good amount of stats, and say Nidalee rolls lifesteal could be the difference between winning or losing barely on a round.
Yeah. Yeah, we've seen lifesteal carry really, really hard in the early, stage 2, and kinda just, like, solo
Mhm.
went around just because that lifesteal is so, so crazy here. It might even end up being, oh, no, okay, the Jarvan actually jumps onto the Nidalee here, but it's still possible, though, because this lifesteal. Nidalee
Yeah,
goes
I
to
mean,
the
like,
ground.
yeah, the timing was actually the perfect here. And remember, it was like, what did I say? It's the difference between almost barely and
Yeah,
almost, barely winning or losing a round. And actually, both are fine. Barely losing is if you're gonna lose, the way that Riku lost is exactly how you want to do it, right? You
yeah,
took all of the resources off the board except for that one unit. You don't take that much damage. You are getting into this NPC round at 30 gold, which is maybe you want a little bit more. We've invested somewhere else, obviously. But we've also got two people at 100 HP, which is going to affect the lobby in different ways, right? They're either going to completely nosedive, like we see a lot of people in first place at this point in time at the end of the game, or they're going to continue pushing their lead. So the rest of the lobby is going to have to react to that somehow by either passively playing, losing HP, and trying to build power through experience. Or you can try to keep up with the lobby leaders with their economies and their experience and try to pick off them mano a mano a little bit
yeah.
later.
Yeah, the economy for Eco, I think is pretty good for having 4 items going, or 4 components to completed items going into the Krug round there. I think having 30 gold is really good actually, and being able to make 40 on this round on 3-1 as well. I think pretty on par to for Econ to be able to level to 6, level to 7, even maybe on round 3-5, but. Moving on over to Para right now, we see an Aphelios chosen the Hunter. Aphelios actually was popping up as a bit of a comp, actually like getting pretty popular. It did get nerfed a little bit in the patch, but I think there's still potential for Aphelios to be a good carry, even scaling well into the late game.
Yeah, there was a weird bug where his turrets weren't proccing appropriately at times, so you actually
Yeah.
weren't getting the max DPS possible, even though he was
Oh,
actually very, very good. As that's like a 2 HP difference there.
yeah.
15, I think, is what it said. I definitely would have highlighted that as well. But the overarching thing when it comes to Aphelios is you can run him in the Moonlight, try to get to that tier 4, or you can just run him as your early hunter and just get some really nice early game wins. Unfortunately for him, the hunter advantage just isn't really there right now at 3-2. Is going to need some more power. The Kindred 1 is definitely going to be some power depletion that Para is going to want to invest in potentially. If we get a Ashe or a Warwick, that would be absolutely wonderful. We might see that Aphelios get sold. But I mean, he got nerfed and he was good. We actually last week saw him win a lobby with a Hand of Justice online. Last week. So we know it's possible. And the question is, are we going to stick with this Aphelios or are we going to move those items onto someone else? And as of right now, it really could be either way based on how
Yeah.
the meta has unfolded.
Definitely could be either way, I would think. It kind of just depends on what you roll. If you stick with the Aphelios, you're going to want to tier 4 him eventually. I don't think you could really justify dedicating 3 completed items or 2 completed items to Aphelios and just have him as that tier 2 once we get super late. So we'll see what Para rolls. Having no other Moonlights right now is a bit concerning. You would have to really at this point go for Silas 3 into an Aphelios 3. But again, we're very, very far from that. I think the likely thing we're going to see here is just using this Aphelios as an item carrier. Already committed just flexible items as well with the Hand of Justice and the Locket. Locket, another one of those really good items that can fit into many compositions.
Has always been a mega versatile item, and it's one of those items that provides both defensive and offensive stats. So for those of us who have a hard time making decisions, sometimes things like a Locket of the Iron Stellari are going to be good. Your shields will always find value. They find less value as people get more damage, or if some mad lad throws a shiv on somebody.
Yeah.
Right? But you're not really seeing that. So you're going to be getting a lot of that value pretty easily. Same thing with the Chalice that you see the TF having on the other side as well.
Yeah, something interesting to note as well, talking about at least one of the players would keep up 100 HP, but actually two players are still 100 HP at this stage 3 carousel. And Joshy down at the bottom side, already on 43 HP, so big HP discrepancy between the top two and the bottom two here in this lobby.
Curious to see if we're low HP because we haven't bought a bunch of units because we're pushing econ and we're just going to try to sneak a bunch of 5-cost units out from the nose of some people, or if we're just having a little bit of a bad day. It could be either or. I think it's going to be the latter more so
Yeah.
than anything right now, because if you're kind of losing on purpose, you kind of want to be where Wolfey is right now, in my opinion. Like the 60s is like a safe place to feel. The 58 is moderately low. 43 is definitely on the low end. And as we go later into the rounds, you're going to be losing 10 to 15 HP potentially per round, and we're very, very close to 4-1. So 43, not really that high for joshychann here, but we do have 50 gold. We have lost every single round so far, but we do have a pretty stacked Evelyn with no Hextech Gunblade, though.
Pretty stacked Evelyn here, just going to be the item carrier, it seems, up against Wolfey, who has 3 tiers on a Yuumi, too. Not often we see that at this stage of the game. The Evelyn is going to be a huge damage dealer here. I think they just probably recently found that Evelyn. It is a Shade Chosen, has 3 Cultists as well, and could win. Oh, no, there's a Warwick actually on the side of Wolfey. Evelyn will go down, albeit very slowly here.
Yuumi, I would love to see the healing on that Yuumi
Yeah.
at some point. So I was telling you about me and my friends and the lab, and Yuumi has definitely been in the lab
Oh, yeah.
over the last couple days or so, and she did get a little bit of a buff. And I think that in terms of the mystics in the game, Yuumi was like I think the hardest to put into a comp
Yeah.
because of the spirit aspect. If we had a Yuumi right now, that'd actually be not bad for joshychann. But the blue buff, we actually have been putting Rabadons on her too. The healing and the attack speed is
Yeah.
insane. The Rabadons is like nice if you kind of like if you were going to put it on a Callista, right?
Oh, yeah.
Because you just have it.
Mhm.
Go ahead and put it on your Yuumi, same kind of thing. If you're going to be getting it in utility as opposed to execute, and I think it's a pretty good idea if you don't really have anything else to put those items on.
Yeah.
And I think Yuumi has been pretty undervalued in general because of her synergies, but we'll see how far it scales.
Ooh, Joshy-chan actually going to win this round. It looks like it's going to be close, but yeah, the Evelyn last auto attack here. That's kind of not what you want to have happen if you're Joshy, honestly. If you're already on a 9 loss streak, 37 HP on Wolves, you might as well lose by, 1 or 2 units and just make it a full loss streak and lose not on a decent amount of gold that way. Still able to level to 7 either way here in selling the Evelyn. So you're going to have to roll down on level 7. It's kind of awkward, although maybe just Ari is going to be the direction for joshychann here. Ari, I think, still it has potential to do really well if this Ionic Spark can maybe find its way onto a Sejuani with a maybe a ZZ Rot if a belt is achieved here. No belt. A Chalice, however, maybe to buff up this Ari in the back. There's another Ari in the shop here as well, so joshychann might have direction actually to bail himself out of this situation.
Yeah, we're going to be spending almost all of our money, maybe even all of our money to help things go along. Oh, we got a Dusk. I was actually owing at the Fortune Chosen. I always owe at Fortune Chosens. And then I buy them because I hate having fun.
Yeah.
But the but the overarching theme here for Joshy is we're never going to see him hit 8. Right. It's going to take a while before we see him get to 8, as Timo is going to be holding that chalice. We have Para on the other side, and we're getting a little bit tankier, but we also haven't gotten very strong if we are Para. Some pivots. And I think Ari is like one of the most like, oh no, I'm losing. Oh, no one's going Ari. Might as well just go Ari, right?
Yeah.
And then you go Ari, and then she gives you hope for like a couple rounds, and then she just stops ulting. So
I feel like you just
she's
predicted Joshy's like future here in this game.
maybe. I think that it's definitely a possibility. We do get the Mystic in. Maybe putting the Chalice on the Yumi, putting some Dusk in as well. We still need one more Dusk. A Riven would be nice. We don't have any Chosens. But again, like when you don't have any direction, many people go Ari. It's just a thing that people do, I think.
Yeah.
And we're seeing Joshy do that right now, and we don't have best in slot items. You really want that jeweled gauntlet. Rabadon's is a very, very far second choice when it comes to this Ari, and it's not even RE2 just yet.
Yeah, I think Deathcap is okay for Ari. It can suffice, but I think it's going to be, as you said, but a moment ago, like it'll work out pretty well for a couple of rounds, but then it's going to get outscaled again unless you kind of high roll, get the RE2, and get a really good front line online as well. Like winning this round right now because you're level 7, 4-1 on 4-2. You rolled down pretty heavily. You see on the other side there, Malaka has 50 gold still. Joshy is down to 20. Ari is not going to be the first choice, as you were saying as well in this game. Ari is going to be, I happen to find it, and I have no other options really.
Yep.
My items are okay for this Ari. I thought for a second Joshy was maybe going to consider going for Spirit, because there was a Kindred in and a Teemo just a bit ago. Selling those, though, to rock some Dusk, Ionic Spark could be good on a Riven. I know we've talked about the item a lot, as Riven's kind of the best carrier of it, but it's going to just go on the Sejuani for now. You can't fit 4 Dusk in. Yeah, even if you had the Riven, like what do you take out, right? You're gonna want it looks like you're gonna want the Mage in right now as well. You have to play just a Nami 1 right now, which is like okay for the CC, but that's not a unit you're going to keep in for too long. The Lilia, however, is still pretty solid. Looks like just as you said though, Boop, win 2 rounds and then the third just you start losing again.
Yeah, I don't know what it is about Ari, and it's so I feel like it's so predictable when it comes to
Yeah.
her style. Is we're in her apex point, right? And you aren't best in slot, you aren't at RE2, you have a Nami when you passed a Mage Chosen a little earlier, so you're taking up a whole extra slot to get your Mage when we could have done it. Of course, hindsight is 2020. And we can definitely think on that a little later, but we are going to potentially see a couple more items get slammed on that Ari or another secondary carry. That's the other thing about Ari comps is everyone enables the Ari, right? There really
Yeah.
isn't anything else right now that can help. You can definitely like spat a mage on someone or something, but it is still not best case scenario. Ari comps I call consolation comps because you could totally top 4 with it, right?
Yeah.
It's also one of the most stressful comps to play because you're literally just staring at her until she ults. Right. And if she
Pretty much.
doesn't, then you're screwed. And if you do, it's super hype. But this is not a position you want to be in on one of your first fight nights at 30 HP, 2 to 3 rounds away from potentially getting eliminated when we still have someone at 100 HP at the top.
The only way I could see this game going real well to look like a top 4 for Joshy is you win these next 2 rounds, you save up enough gold to go level 8 and hit your RE2 and hit a good Chosen, either Ari or a frontline Chosen, because this frontline being with a Sejuani 1 is not going to cut it for too much longer. She gets an ult off here, but that is not going to always happen once we get to stage 5. Even so, the ult going off here, it's just not mattering. Wolfey, on the other hand, here is level 8 already, has a Shen Chosen, and 5 units survive in this fight, bringing Joshy down to 17 HP. Wolfey is still chilling around that, half HP, 47, middle of the pack, but looks like they have a strong comp. They have a Nico on the bench as well. Joshy rolls a Khroen there. Interesting to see if that could be an out, but we move on over to Wolfey for now. And I'm liking what I'm seeing a little bit here. It's just I don't know if this is quite going to scale as well into the late game without having some real item carriers for a carry. You have a Khroen, you have a Jinx, but no real DPS items right now. Maybe the
The
blue buff for the
power
Khroen eventually, but yeah.
Yeah, the power is very wide right now, which is I like to say it's very spread out. And
Yeah.
in TFT, you want to put your power on specific people, right? The terms that we use are your primary, secondary, and some comps have like a moderate tertiary carry, or like something like this Yumi, like a utility carry, right? But in the end, if you spread out your items across too many people, not one specific character is going to be strong.
Yeah.
And we're actually seeing that happen right now. So if like we had really good items on Warwick, for example, and we were able to specify the power budget onto two of our units, then I think we'd be in a better spot. But we're going to go ahead and just pick up a Khroen 2 anyway and feel great about ourselves. If
Yeah.
we use the Nico, I would probably use the Nico, but I might be a little bit too quick. We are at 40 HP, so we do have a little bit of time to save. And before we actually talk a little bit more, I was looking at the lobby, and Wolfey has done better every single time they've been here, and I
Yep.
think this lobby is what he can compete for the win on. So we'll see if like the coronation finally happens.
Oh yeah, we saw a drastic improvement from Wolfey's first performance to his second performance. It seems like first was just okay, learning TFT the ropes. You know, Wolfey obviously a great competitor in general, and so you're gonna know how to translate those skills over to another game, which you can see the potential. And you know, the second time, the potential just grew so much. Right here, we're going to be seeing another blue buff, perhaps built hovering over it right now. But yeah, there is potential for the Khroen too. You didn't need to do it on that wrapped around because this neutral is going to see if you roll a natural Khroen here, but now the Nico is going to come through. The extra bow is on Khroen, which is kind of awkward. I think that was from a carousel. So you're not going to be able to complete any items until stage 6 in that carousel. You can get a component, but still. Khroen 2 on 5-1, I think Wolfey's in a really good spot. That's the exact thing that Wolfey needed for a carry. And we're talking about that was the only thing Wolfey was lacking, but now it's here, and Wolfey is
Yep.
dominating these rounds.
We're going to choose red Khroen, even though blue Khroen did get a little bit of a buff. It's really hard for me to think about a time when blue Khroen is. Is there a time where you would pick blue Khroen in this current meta? I know like early on that's what you picked, but right now red Khroen just is like lifesteal, like you said, is just so strong.
Yeah, I think if Wolfey had any like a hand of justice or a gunblade or something for this Khroen, then it's blue Khroen every time because you don't need to go blue Khroen if you have another like damage dealer. Wolfey has a Warwick 2 in there, but no items on it. It's not really going to be dealing the damage to get nerfed a little bit as well. You have Jinx in there, but Jinx is only the utility item holder right now, just carrying a Zeke. So I think red Khroen is going to be good for this point of the game, Wolfey, but it might struggle in dealing enough damage once we get to later on in stage 5 into stage 6. But yeah, again, something that's correct for now. Going up against Within, who's actually already level 9 with 30 gold left. Some of these players in this lobby actually, I was looking at what was it, Young Jame as well. They had a really strong opener. Both of them are still at the top. And look at the HP differential in this game. You have 93 HP Within, 84 HP on Young Jame, and we have 2 people actually eliminated already. ILikeHoboes, the bad
Told
start.
you.
Yeah, the poor start translating into a poor placement. It actually happens every time like clockwork for ILikeHoboes. It's so insane because usually even if it's a trend that a player will follow, you don't do it every single time, right? Generally, there's like
Right?
sometimes we might have a poor placement or a poor start, but still a good placement. But no, I like
Mhm.
Hobos actually every single time.
So Wolfey actually, I think, gets the best draw when it comes to opponents. He actually picked up both Within and Young Jame on these last 2 rounds, and actually we might beat Young Jame here, depending on where this Akali is going to focus her time. Yeah, and so we're good. So Wolfey's actually in a pretty good position in terms of that power level. Young Jame did not look like someone at 80 some odd HP. Seems like that was a little bit matchup dependent. And Within also losing. So Wolfey only losing to Within had already faced the second place person. And so now we are probably going to face people who we can assume that we're stronger than. And I think if we're Wolfey, we're actually feeling quite good about how the game kind of gifted us the matchups there.
Yeah, I think Wolfie played the early game well enough to go, as you were talking about earlier, that lose streak, but still preserving enough HP to be able to secure a top 4 and maybe even more. It's really hard to do that in the lobby where there's 2 people really high HP and they can both fast 9, or I guess not fast 9, but like slow 9 and just roll down all their gold to get that legendary comp online. Yeah, Young James did it right now, is going to level 9, has 20 odd gold left to be able to roll. Probably not going to roll too much here, but has a force of nature as well. Like you have 10 units on the board at 5/5. It's gonna be pretty huge here. Actually, even running Moonlight still at this stage of the game, I think those items are eventually going to get swapped over. But this is a very like I guess I'll say mismatch socks-esque board, a board that's not going to be standard, but still strong when it comes to the specific time in the game relative to everyone else's like strength levels.
Where did that Lissandra just ult? She like ulted someone on the bench.
Yeah, she ulted backwards when another unit like had just dashed or moved.
Okay,
It
okay,
looked,
okay.
yeah, really, really, really awkward.
Yeah, that looked a little weird. As Jamanthium is going, it's a new element on the periodic table. I don't know if you guys knew. Um, uh, Sorry, I didn't think I was going to talk about the periodic table today. My brain is on another level right now. But 60 HP is pretty good at
Oh,
five
yeah.
six.
Yeah, especially being level 9,
Unfortunately,
it's really, really
yeah.
good.
Unfortunately for him, someone else is also at level 9 at 66 HP. So whatever advantage is only over the rest of the lobby, whoever's in our top 2, they have that cushion to lose a couple as well. And that's kind of like what we were talking about with the health economy being so important, where, Johnny that we saw earlier was at 43 HP like 7 rounds ago, right?
Yeah.
Could only lose 3 times, and now Jamanthium at 60 is losing right now, but still will have time to continuously make their comp better. We can still upgrade our Ash. We can still maybe take some Moonlights out and put some legendaries in, because our power level right now just isn't as high because of the Moonlight. We might have the numbers, right? But quantity over quality only sometimes works here in TFT.
Definitely. A couple things going on right now. I think right now is the time for Jamanthium, yeah, to sell that Lysandra, roll for a legendary, a chosen legendary rather, and swap those items over at that point. Also, ParaGG was actually lowest HP in the lobby and has out-survived now 3 other players. Para, they looked a bit rough earlier, but might actually make a top 4 here. Woofy did lose the previous round, going into stage 6. 10 damage is going to be the base, so if Woofy loses by even 1 unit, we'll be out. If Para wins that one round as well, we'll make the top 4. But let's see young James or Jamanthium's roll down here. And rolling pretty fast. I like this roll down.
Oh, did you see that adept chosen pickup on that Yone?
Uh-huh,
We wow, our APM is very fast. It's like the beginning of a
yeah.
StarCraft game when you can kind of
I
shoot.
know. I love this actually. Talking about playing with intention, Boop, like this is the pinnacle
Yeah.
that it seems a lot of players, like even well-known top players don't play with that high of an APM as we saw Jamanthium play with right there. And I think all the items are going to be delegated very, very effectively to their best units possible. Maybe could have had an argument for a Sunfire or something to go onto that Yone, but it's going to be a Shojin. Still losing the round though over to it looks like this would be Within's clone within the other level 9 player, and
Mhm.
they have a chosen Lilia on board there. Not sure if it's Mage or Dusk, gonna be checking that out, but Para
Whew.
still hanging on. And Woofy actually falling to just the Zezra unit there, so actually doesn't go down.
this has tightened up so much as time has gone on. And this is what we're talking about, those power budgets really coming into play. We finally have people becoming those carries. Look at how many items Within has right now: 2, 4, 6, 8, 10, 12. With the Thieves Gloves, technically 14, 16 item components on the board right now. You have your 9 units, you have your Chosen, Lilia, 5 Dusk. We're 1 away from getting even more magic damage. And the thing about Dusk units too is that they're not squishy. They can be quite tanky. Lilia can
Oh,
be weirdly tanky sometimes when it comes to being able to get a couple ults off. And that sleep, especially with some things like Ezreal and the Jhin, can destroy you. As even though Young James has the Chosen Yone, again, he is matched up against the other person who also has that Chosen 5 cost unit.
yeah. Oh man, it's such a heartbreaker. Paris surviving so many rounds just to barely not make it into that top 4. Para out in 5th, and Malaka 2 HP, Wolfey on 3 HP. But Within, man, this is going to be so difficult for it not to be a lobby win for Within
Mhm.
here. You have tier 2, Chosen Lilia, Zillion, Ezreal, Kayn, and Azir. You got 5 legendaries already leveled up. 6 Dusk even in now as well, taking out the Ezreal 2 for it. Like, oh man, this is such a well played game from Within.
And the thing that's actually really interesting is our 2 100 HPers are going to finish in the top 4. And
Yep.
Young James has lost, I think, 5 rounds in a row so far, Jamanthium. And that goes to show how important it is to maintain those win streaks early on when you can.
Yeah.
For example, Para didn't. Right, and maybe had the 2nd or 3rd best comp in the game at the time, but because we just didn't have that economy, we won't know, as that was the hardest fought 5th place I think I've ever seen. As
Yeah.
Wolfey gonna finish, I was about to just call it. Gonna finish in 2nd place potentially. We'll see after this carousel. Carousel can definitely change a lot. We did have a just regular old bow that we could maybe complete on that king, but it looks like we are going to get that mage's cap.
Zeke's grab from Woofy there. Mage cap grab from Within. The potential for 3 mage is there. If you put another one in besides just that mage cap, who do you take out though? Like, do you drop 6 Dusk? Maybe. Mage Zillion is really good, so yeah, that 6 Dusk I think is going to be dropped here. Even could take out the Cassiopeia, and yes, it will be dropped for the set there. Only a set 1. Still gonna be doing decent amount of damage if you can get his ult off though.
I like the items on Within a little bit more, as Arcane in the back line is absolutely destroying thanks
Oh
to that
yeah,
Jewel
this isn't even
Gauntlet.
close.
Yeah, too much damage too quickly. That Shen did not last very long, as Wolfie gets a 2nd place in, I think, Within playing one of the easiest lobbies I've seen someone play in. It looked so easy. It's not an easy lobby. All these guys are good. I think you
Yeah.
guys know what I mean. But Within played so clean, so well. You got to be proud of yourself if you're Within in terms of your performance, because you just destroyed that lobby. It
Oh yeah.
wasn't close.
The lobby is not close at all, and that's difficult to do. Like, okay, it's easier to do when you're the only person that can go 9 that early like that. But if you have 2 players contesting and doing that same, all legendary strat, it is a lot more difficult. But still being able to pull it off, just hats off to Within for getting that lobby number 1 win, because it did look easy. Boop, honestly, it looked just so dominant that it's like, oh yeah, that was not even no contest here. But no, all these players, as you said, are very, very good. Riku, our whole week winner last week, only finishing in 6th place here in this game. ILikeHoboes, I don't even know what returning week number it is for ILikeHoboes, but it's been a few at this point. Starting off a little bit slow, however, though, because of that unoptimal early game start here. But Wolfie getting
Mhm.
2nd as well. That's some impressive stuff. More improvements here for Wolfie, I think.
Yeah, so I think I'm going to go ahead and say let's talk about the bad news first and then the good news here. So, bad news is I like hobos.
Yeah.
So, we talked about earlier how if he does not start strong, he doesn't finish strong. And, usually when we find these patterns like this, at first they're kind of like in jest, and then finally they're like, you know what? This is happening kind of frequently. The third week curse is kind of that, right? It just so happens that 85% of the time, the third week is when people stop coming back, right? They lose. But when it comes to I Like Hobos, this is something that will affect his overall placement in other tournaments, right? This is unfortunately a transferable detractor when it comes to his play, because I actually saw it happen when he was in a qualifier not too long ago too. So how do we, if we're like I Like Hobos, right, and we're kind of his coach in terms of why can't we, because Numana was able to do that, right? Numana was
Oh, yeah.
able to get, be in 7th and then finish in 2nd, right? We haven't quite seen Hobos do that. I think maybe once or twice out of 20 some odd lobbies. So what do we do if we're I Like Hobos and we find ourselves, at 90 HP by our first carousel?
Yeah, I mean, looking at it from perspective of, like a coach trying to really dig down and analyze it, you got to just go back and watch those games, watch the decisions that you make. Because a lot of times when someone is pressured a lot in the early game, they are not making optimized decisions. They're feeling the pressure, maybe misplaying a bit, overreacting to the amount of damage that you're taking. A lot of players are really good at saying, okay, I don't care what my HP number is at. I'm just going to play like super greedy, first or eighth play style. But maybe that overreacting is a little bit too preemptive. And you should be greeting out a little bit more. It's hard to say without watching, the game from start to finish from ILikeHoboes' perspective, which I haven't had actually a chance to do. But it would be really interesting in doing that actually, because I'm sure we could see a lot of decisions made that could be like, oh, okay, maybe that could have held off for a while there. ILikeHoboes here. I think this game's going to be different already. I'm going to call it. This is a keeper Elise start, especially if ILikeHoboes finds another couple of cultists. Like, this is ILikeHoboes' kind of favorite terrain here. The
Yeah.
strong looking start going to
Mhm.
translate usually into a strong finish as well.
I would say if I Like Hobos is like at 4-1 and in the top 4, he probably finishes top 2.
Yeah.
Right? That's just how, like, that's also the pattern. And that happens 8 times out of 10, right? It's just those 2 times, right? Because I think for 3 weeks he has had an opportunity to win Fight Night and then just got 7th in the 4th lobby. And again, it's like you just can't do that if you want to become the best TFT player in the world. Those are those habits that you really have to attack and deal with, right? It's just happened too many times, in my opinion, over too many weeks in a row. He's an amazing player, right? And definitely one of the quickest players. Like I like to put him in with, my favorite early game player, which is DQA.
Yeah.
Duo Q Abuser. More like that, but we have to flex on these other opportunities, right? Because it could also be comp related, right? Maybe we're on a comp that is like Zed that's going to lose a lot, and we're just not used to that, right? We've seen ILikeHoboes both succeed on the double bubble Nami and get 8th on it.
Yeah.
So it's all about getting him to take all that information and then take it to that next step, right? Which is, how do we top 4 on our last lobby?
I mean, I don't know. You got to really, as you're saying, go in and really break it down, analyze it, do things a bit differently here. It doesn't look like we're going to see the option to do quite that and play through that scenario again, because ILikeHoboes does have a pretty good start this game. We have the 3 mage with the keeper Elise as well. Kennen even on bench to put in a bit later. Maybe we're going to see, the 4 keeper be achieved here. Awkward items, however, not ones you want to slam. We're saying maybe you see the odd shiver once in a while, and it was hovered for a second for ILikeHoboes, but not going to commit to that, especially not with a 3 mage board. Shoji not really something you want to commit to either. It's going to be value on very, very few units, but good thing is you don't need to slam items right now to still be winning rounds for ILikeHoboes.
And this is exactly what ILikeHoboes wants to do. Like we have said, we have 4 keepers already, which means that our early game could only be just a tad bit stronger, which is just individual units being just a little bit better than the other individual units. Especially if we don't have any items, though, this could be not as perfect as ILikeHoboes would want, but we are in a pretty good spot. So the other thing that I was talking about was the good news, right? We talked about ILikeHoboes and how 4th lobby is going to be like where I think we really pay attention to ILikeHoboes and see where they end up. But the other one that I definitely want to talk about is Wolfey finishing 2nd in that last round. Played pretty cleanly throughout that entire round. Knew exactly. I think the thing about Wolfey that has changed is I think Wolfey knew exactly where they were and in relation to the lobby, almost the entire lobby state, which is very new for him. And I think that's part of that growth, right? Being able to just take in a wider breadth of information, right? And then now that next step is what do we do with that information? We have to consistently make the right decisions. And so as I Like Hobos' fourth lobby is going to be the most important. Then I think for Wolfey, it's this lobby that's most important. Can we follow up success with success? And that's going to be the mark of someone who is becoming a great TFT player. And we'll see today. He's definitely on his way so far, but we're still really early.
Yeah, definitely really early, but Wolfey and I like Hobos at the head of the pack in this lobby, at least, both at 100 HP, looking to remain. And I like Hobos definitely looking to remain at 100 HP, leveling up to 5 right here. Not making econ, not just pre-leveling, but full sending it here. Might as well to try to keep that win streak going. You have 4 keepers and 3 warlords in right now with the addition of that Garen. Go up against Malaka. You know, a chosen Janna early game often does win, often is really strong, too many shields to get through, but not right now. You just have too much damage. Even committing the Shojin. I don't like the Shojin commitment to the Katarina, honestly, but it's what I like Hobo decided to do. And with I like Hobo's play style, I suppose it does make sense. It doesn't really matter what items you have, as long as your early game is good, as long as you preserve that HP, like that's most
Yeah.
important for I like Hobos here.
Totally agree. But I'd actually love to see Malaka when we get a chance. But I like Hobos after this carousel, and a lot of our other players are going to have to decide where they're going to start spending experience, where they're going to start spending money. Some comps require some early money spending. We don't really see a lot of those right now, but I like Hobos is running Warlords, which is going to take a little bit more early investment, and then you're going to kind of just chill for like 5-6 rounds as you develop your economy again. You hit
Yeah.
7 and then 8, and then you kind of keep pushing until 9. But we'll see where the rest of this game is going to go as we're going right over to Malaka right now at 82 HP at the bottom of the leaderboard as we speak, having a hard time figuring out exactly what unit to put in. And we have a chosen Mystic, Janna, which at this point in the game is not really going to be taking a lot of damage away, but at least we have a little bit of mitigation as everyone on the team is quite squishy.
Yeah, we have some solid synergies in right now, honestly. 3 cultists, 2 mystic, 2 duelist in there with that Yasuo edition. The front line's kind of meh, but we do have a lock and supplement a bit of that lack of front line. The Galio will supplement a
Cool.
bit that as well. And man, the Katarinas are out in force. There's one from within as well. Gonna be out healing pretty much everything that Malaka can do. However, still will go down eventually. The Janus shields with now the addition of the locket, just a bit too strong there. Gonna be still not on a streak though. Loss win for Malaka. Still the bottom of the lobby, however. Not really a fan of that spot. Only having 10 gold right now. Not even being able to make 20 gold on this round as well. It's a bit rough.
It's definitely a bit rough. We rolled Lifesteal on the Hodge, which definitely kept that Callista going. We didn't really get to max out on our attack speed as we only got 2 of those duelists. But the coolest part about Chosen mechanics, we go back to basics, right, is when you sell it, right? Who you pick up first and when you're going to pick up your 4 or 5 cost Chosen. Mort changed the 4-1 statistics again, I
Yeah.
believe, to where we actually get just a slightly higher chance at a 4 cost Chosen at 4-1, but we're not really seeing those all or nothing roll downs being as all or nothing as they have been. We've actually been seeing a lot of people stave through that 4-1 round to try to push to 8. So it's really interesting to see how the lobbies develop these kinds of patterns, right? Because if you get a lobby that plays slow, some of our more aggressive players might end up slowing down their pace and saving a little bit more money too. And that's always something to consider when it comes to TFT is if you're the only, Zed forcer, right? That's going to change
Yeah.
how you play the game versus
Oh
if
yeah.
there's someone else who, forces Zed every game.
Totally. It's going to create such a huge dynamic shift in the whole entire game for sure. And yeah, going back to the changes on those base roll percentages of 4 costs, it's going to be a little bit more likely to see them at that level 7 mark. kind of making up for changes in the previous patch. But I mean, Malaka here losing that round again, so not going in any sort of win streak. Still taking out the Callista, putting in a Kindred for now, taking a lot of synergies with that. Not sure if they're gonna end up selling that Callista or not. Maybe just waiting to see if they can make up to 20 gold, however, because you definitely want to be at least on 20 gold level 5 here. If you're not, you're definitely hurting for the econ. You don't want to be too much below that. And so yeah, okay, we'll sell up to up to 20 there. Buying of the shop here, however, maybe gonna go some cultists again. We'll see in a second.
So this actually reminds me, as you said, 3-1. If you want to get better at TFT, go to Keen's Twitter right now, and he has like, do this at 3-1, do this at 4-1, and do this at 5-1. And if you do this, you probably hit diamond. And I agree. By the way, it's like, well, if you get into those patterns, right, and you kind of understand the basics of the game, how you break those rules, or when you don't do that, is going to be what your next step is, and you're going to be so much better already when you get there. As we have another Katarina, this time with a QSS, so Wolfey definitely wanting this Katarina to ult in that backline, but is going to be focusing down that Jax instead, as that Lux just pops that Katarina anyway, but too much damage for Wolfey right now. But I spoke too soon, friends, as that Yasuo comes right back. Are we going to be able to kill that Lux? No, we are not, as Wolfey will fall to that Yasuo. Good decision on that GA. That's definitely going to be able to pick him up some joshychann, some early rounds, and maybe even some late rounds.
Yeah, 3 losses for Wolfey in a row, but still being second place in lobby 80 HP is actually pretty good. Already level 6, however, and the items for a carry aren't there, right? Because we have a force of nature already. This is a super early force of nature for, not having any spatulas on the opening carousel to the game here. Wolfey kind of high rolled that a little bit, already having 7 units on board. We do, however, again, need the carry items at some point because the rounds are close now. We're losing enough HP to where it's okay with still recovering our econ. We're only at 10 gold, level 6 right now. Generally, players are going to be higher. We see Young Jing on the other side there at 30 gold, level 6. So Wolfey kind of has his work cut out for him when it comes to recovery, I would say here.
Oh, man, and that loss was a little bit worse. But again, we are on a 4-loss streak, and we're in third, tied for third. We're actually chilling. Part of me thinks that Wolfey wants to lose a little bit harder, so we could pick earlier on the carousel, as those numbers are actually pretty close. But in the end, Wolfey at 80 HP, losing 4 rounds in a row is really good, as we're hitting that interest. And now that we've hit that interest, we're going to be developing a little bit more money. And now is where I think those like micro decisions come in. Wolfey, do you push for a win, or are you okay with losing a little bit more often? We're going to stay at 90 gold, so we're going to maybe see if our matchup wins out. And if not, we'll see if that Aphelios gets sold.
Oh boy, Riku already with the tier 3 Diana chosen right now. Moonlight leveling up the Aphelios to tier 3 right now as well. So I think we might actually see an Aphelios carry here. Wolfey losing another round and pretty badly there. Wolfey kind of hands on the head, being like, okay, maybe this is a bit too much of a loss here. Getting early carousel pick is great, right? But really only when you're going to be finishing an item. Wolfey has no spare components right now, so the item of choice sure is grab, but it's not going to be 2 value up until that wolf round. We got 2 more rounds to go until that point. Within now going from a lobby win to being at the bottom of lobby number 2 here. We're swapping all around when it comes to the placements here. Wolfey, however, still kind of a similar spot as last game. ILikeHoboes is towards the top, though. That is promising from him.
Mm-hmm.
Riku as well towards the top.
Also, I don't know if you guys know this, but if your water comes from a square bottle, it tastes better. Because it's more expensive, and so your brain is like, this must taste better. So I drank Topo Chico for the first time the other day. Have you heard of this?
I have, actually.
Yeah, okay. I don't know what is in those bubbles, but they're so tiny and they're so delicious. And I highly recommend. That's where my brain went, and we're here now. Wolfey, back to TFT. Here we go. We have some sharpshooters, we have some hunters, and This is very interesting because since we don't really have a ton of items, we're expecting kind of a pretty filthy wolf round, right, for
Yeah.
Wolfey. Um, uh, but even with the tier, you kind of want to start with the tier, I feel like. But we'll see. This wolf round is going to be what determines Wolfey's game. If the wolves aren't friendly, then I think it's a bottom four. If we get some good items, then we're going to be sitting pretty. But we're also starting to lose in terms of power budget as well when it comes to our items, as we don't have a chosen. I think we sold it expecting to hit 4-1 at 7, but we're not. So we're actually rolling down to potentially 20 HP. A cat 2 is actually a pretty big deal. We're going to go ahead and put that Ash in as well. So we have gotten stronger, but has it been enough?
I hate that roll down actually. Rolling down the round before Wolves, which you're already on a 6 loss streak. If you get stronger and win, you're gonna be sacrificing a lot of econ from just that loss streak going away. But you're also losing just general interest gold right now, going from I believe it was around 40 now into 20. That's gonna be rough to recover from when we're going into stage 4-1. If you go on a full win streak, like sure it can work out, I guess. The Wolves have to be kind. Talking about the fact that Wolfey doesn't have a lot of items, it's because 2 of those components are spatulas that go into that force of nature. Okay, oh actually, yeah, I forgot. Wolfey was cashing out on fortune. So I actually agree with that. Disregard anything what I just said, the roll was good. Because you have to catch in on fortune that round. I completely just like mentally lapsed in the fact that Wolfey is running fortune, so
I think a
uh
lot of it just like didn't exist on the left side is what it
yeah.
looked like, because I missed it too. So if it's both of us, then we can both be wrong as a team.
I'm so used
Um,
to saying like, okay, fortune chosen, and it's like, okay, now you're running fortune, but yeah, no, okay, Wolfie, that's actually correct because it's really hard to cash in, after wolves, and you don't want to be stuck in fortune jail for longer than that. Now there is a lot of components to work with here. I believe Wolfie got 3 components from that fortune cash out. Going to be hand of justice on this Katarina now. You got a bunch of items to work with. You could double Zeke's chalice actually, and that might actually be the route to go with here. It looks like it will be.
I'm so proud of Wolfie.
Yeah,
I'm
this is
so
good.
proud
Yeah.
of that itemization too, because I think someone like me would have been baited into building like a death blade on somebody because that feels more fun,
Yeah.
right?
I mean,
And
it's good. It's just the other parts
yeah,
of the server aren't gonna be good, but now you're gonna be able to
well,
make good use out of all of them.
exactly. So I think power budget's going to be the word of today because items have their own budget as well. And the thing about the items that Wolfie has chosen is yes, while Deathblade is going to put a little bit more power with a little bit of RNG as well. It's not a consistent item onto somebody. You're going to be spreading the love with the double Zeeks and Chalice. So more people are getting more stats, and the Deathblade, which might not have been stacked anyway, is going to be compensated potentially by attack speed that someone else is going to be giving you. So we're actually feeling okay about that. Thank you, my fortune friends. As we're going to be running Moonlight, we have double locket on Diana. Riku, the one time he didn't run Warwick, he ran Diana and got 4th. It was a lucky 4th, as
Yeah.
that was a very weak lobby in general, as Diana struggled almost the entire game. So I wonder, especially now that it's weaker than it was last week, if we're going to potentially see this precipitously fall. But I like the double locket. We have the initial shielding, which is going to help us get to our ultimate, which is going to help get us even more shielding.
Yeah, I looked double locket as well. Philo's doing a lot of damage there. Hunter proc still doing work. I didn't even do that much damage there. Dinah was nerfed, a bit once again, but Philio's nerfed as well. The comp, however, still seems to be strong. Riku, top of the lobby, 7 win streak is a lot of Aphelios away, however, from that tier 3. Has a Nico on the bench though, so bit of extra help there, and having 80 HP means you're gonna have a lot more time to roll for it. You want to slow roll at level 7 until Aphelios 3. Hope that you're able to get a good item here. I think it might end up being a Hodge QSS perhaps. But it does depend on what the Raptors will give Riku as well. We'll see what he prioritizes in this next carousel phase after facing Wolfie.
So I would like to have everyone bring their attention to see who's at the bottom of the lobby right now and be shocked.
Yeah.
Because of how easy that game was for Within. I think just like I was talking about Wolfie, are you going to be able to follow success with more success? Right now for Within, the answer is no, and that's very common when it comes to some of our newer players. As when our first place player loses and continues to stay in first place, there is a little bit of a lead that's been had, but Within at 6 HP, and we're still 2 rounds away from Wolves. Like a bad matchup there, you're eliminated, and you've lost any goodwill you've gotten because of that first place in that last lobby.
Yeah, could have even been eliminated this round. Fortunately for them, they won, but being eliminated before the stage 4 carousel, that's like, man, where did that game go wrong? It must be in like in a very, very key pivotal moment. It kind of feels a little bit I like Hobos-esque. Maybe Within didn't have a good start to the game
Oh.
and didn't know how to recover, how to play from, just
Mhm.
a poor or a weak start, I should say, when it comes to just board strength. Riku
Yeah.
grabbing the belt, gonna be able to, perhaps build a trap claw if they want to, still rolling for more Aphelioses. Haven't been blessed with any more at this point, however, though, so still a long way away.
The rule of Moonlight is if you're looking for a specific unit, you will see all of the other units in your
Yeah,
shop.
we've seen so many silences,
I
but,
know that's why I was saying it. Like
yeah.
I've seen what feels like 8 million Silases in the shop, and then sometimes you were like, okay, whatever. Obviously, the game wants me to have Silas, and then you pick up Silas, and then only Aphelios show up. That's how Moonlight happens for the majority of us regular players. But for our Fight Night participants, they tend to be able to find and manipulate the RNG pretty consistently. As Joshy is looking like a pretty oh, actually we took down that Diana. And we're at level 8, but we still do lose to the Moonlight comp. We're sitting pretty on top at 71 HP. Wolfey on fire. And Within, not even in last place anymore, as Para is going to be in 5th place, as we're going to be going over to joshychann, who has had, I think, a hard time in the late game in terms of decision making. We had that kind of floundering Ari comp with Joshy last round, but things seem to be going at least a little bit better this time. As actually, I think we're at around exactly the same HP at Wolves as Joshy was around last game.
Yeah, I think so. Yeah, it's looking a little bit better right now, though. You just need one more dusk to be able to achieve the 6th dusk. You have Jin as well with some really strong items. Still far away from a Jin 2, however, but oh man, going up against Young Jame here. Level 8, still 30 gold left. Gonna be losing the round, but not by like, of course it's by like 6 units, but a lot of the units, like half of them are almost dead. Within actually does end up dropping in 8th place here, going from a fast or a fast 1st to a fast 8th before the Raptors. Not what you want to see there. And actually, once we get after this Raptors round, I actually did want to check out what Para was working with here, because Para was in a very similar state last game, dropped super, super low, like single digit, and then climbed up to a 5th, nearly a 4th. But I want to see if they're able to do a similar performance again.
I'm not memeing when I say that was one of the hardest fought 5th places I've ever seen at
Yeah.
Fight Night. It just stinks because obviously it took so much effort and we got everything we needed, and then we just got a bad matchup and finished 5th. Right.
Hmm.
And sometimes it'd be like that.
It's the way it is.
And exactly, we're at 30 gold, and when we were at level 8, you can definitely be baited into spending a lot of gold. But Joshy, I think, needs to, because in terms of that power level, we definitely have a ways to go to like
Ooh.
reach our full potential. This is definitely getting us close, as we do have that Zillion 2, the Thresh 2, and with 5 Dusk, that Thresh is actually going to be pushing a lot of shielding. As we're going to go over to Para now, and we have 2 Keeper, 5 Elderwood. So we're still looking for another Elderwood. Elderwoods did get a slight buff, I think, in the 6 piece. And so we're actually going to be very, very close to finishing that out, but we don't have all 6 just yet. Who is going to be our carry? Looks like we have definitely put the Death Blades on that Ashe, and look at the damage.
You have an extra 320 damage just from, or AD just from Deathblade. It's gonna be stacking up even further to 360. This is a very, I'll say, unorthodox Ashe build, but you gotta work with what you got. It looks like
Yeah.
Para kind of just slamming items as they look decent as they come to him here. Now 6 Elderwood has finally been found, but still rocking an Ashe 1 with 0 defensive items here. I don't think this is gonna be another, like, trying to play for 4th place here. This is like a I gotta pray to maybe even just get 6 at this point right now.
This is when you are literally calling on the Mort gods, right?
Yeah.
You have thrown salt on the ground to create your safe barrier. You know, you have started your chanting, and you're just hoping that the Mort gods will look kindly upon you today. As slowly but surely, and the Mort god, Mort Satan, I think, actually looked upon Para that time. Unfortunately for him, because we've definitely seen the Mort god come down and just change things, right? I'll never forget Sphinx getting 3 chosen shade Zeds when that was like the thing
Yeah,
in a row.
crazy.
But because we know the Mort god can be nice, but for Para just was not there. Young Jame at 6 HP, Johnny or Joshy at 5, I like Hobos at 8, and then 53, 58, 60. So that means our top 3 is pretty strong versus the rest of our lobby. And Wolfey actually hasn't lost in a while.
Wolfey has not lost in a while, but I like Hobo start off strong, but is struggling right now. And that is something that is non-traditional. I like Hobos could still scrape out a 4th here, but it's going to need to be a hard-fought 4th, as there are 3 players, single HP, going to this round 5-3. Hobos versus Malaka on our screen currently, and Malaka has that beast of a chosen Warwick here. It's going to be able to clean up, I think. Hobos going to be dropping
Ooh.
out at -1 HP. Is anyone else going to follow?
He's really gonna be hoping
Yeah.
so. Oh, and it looks like the other one was an elimination round, so we get a 5th place. Thank goodness for I Like Hobos. Young Jame gets a little bit lucky in that matchup, as we potentially could have had 3 people get eliminated in that round, but it looks like a pretty top-heavy lobby so far. Will Young James be able to come back into this? We shall see, but right now, Wolfey did just lose, so we're not as strong as we were. Checking back in, all of the items are all most the same people. And so we actually haven't gotten much stronger since the last time we saw Wolfey. That's just how strong Wolfey was when we left the last time. But we do have a lot of gold, so we only need to roll a couple right now, and we could lose twice before we like start like really freaking out. But we're definitely hitting 9 here for Wolfey.
I think Wolfey is in a pretty comfortable spot right now. You've already made top 4, which I'm sure just inherently takes a lot of pressure off, especially when you're talking about you need to follow up this with follow up game number 1 with another solid performance. We've already done that, right? There's
Yeah.
only the skies to reach for right now, the stars to reach for, and greeting out. I think is nice. You're gonna be wanting to wait until 6-1 to go 9. At that point, roll for a legendary chosen unit. You're going to be taking some pretty huge losses here, though, especially to young Jame, dropping down to 28. But hey, you can still take one more loss and have all that gold to roll down with on 6-1. Young Jame might even fall during this round as well to somebody else. Wolfey eyeing the XP is like, okay, I'm actually going to level now.
Yeah,
Put
might
the
as
fourth
well,
armor
right?
in. Yeah, I mean, that's not bad. You lose out on a couple of extra gold, perhaps. But okay, I actually already selling the chosen right now, so wanting to find something. But I think that's
Jesus.
actually a bit preemptive. If I was Wolfey, I maybe wouldn't have done the similar thing, but gonna get rewarded, it seems. Finding a Yone chosen adept, and I think the Katarina items probably want to go there. Maybe we'll just greed out to see if you can find anything else after this upcoming neutral round.
I love watching Wolfie, man. You could tell he's a streamer based off of his like facial
Yeah.
expressions. Like I feel like I know exactly what he's thinking. Like I could probably watch him on mute and still know exactly what's going through his head. As this Warwick is
Oh yeah.
Jesus.
We've seen it this whole game just tear up the competition. And Wolfey does make it into a top 3 situation here. Young Jame falling in 4th.
Yeah, I think a little bit of a gift for Wolfie, and that's where HP comes into play. Wolfie just won a couple more rounds that time, and Young James needed to win out, and that was unfortunate for them as we finished in 4th place. Riku still in 1st place, and Malaka in 3rd. So Wolfie does need to win about, I think, 3 to 4 rounds in a row just to get 2nd.
Yeah.
We do get a Bloodthirster, though, so that's okay. For what we have, at least it's a little bit of lifesteal. But at this point in time, most people have some way to do some healing mitigation. If not, though, if we get a Ash 2, that Bloodthirster could become pretty valuable.
Ooh, there was an Ash that Wolfey skipped out on that shop. There's another one presented here. And yeah, just gonna take out the Ashes completely. Actually rolls a set 2
This
and a
is
zero
hard.
2. And you take both. You're gonna sell a unit on board. I don't remember which one that was offhand. Oh, it was the Jinx actually, because that was the item carrier for the double Zeeks and the Chalice here. And they're actually gonna go on the Shen, gonna be buffing up the set and the Warwick. Set gonna be given a Bloodthirster because screw it. I mean, what else are you gonna do at this point?
I mean, once he comes back after some setups, that Bloodthirster might actually be the difference in a win and a loss. And something else that is actually really helping Wolfey right now is that Azir in the back line. A lot of people look at it and like, oh, that's an ult, but the displacement on Azir's ult is enormous, especially against people like Talon and Diana, who are going to be back in your face. So if they're going like against your Sand Soldier and then you push them back, they're going to come right back and attack your Sand Soldier. And you've gotten a couple more attacks in. And that's really good for you, as Wolfie should be going up against Riku. Coming up next, we do see a lot of synergies on the board for both sides right now. The Adepts definitely coming in strong. 4 Hunters as well on the board. Riku, though, is going to be with those 4 Hunters that double lock it on that Diana.
Adepts coming in strong, but QSS even stronger, going to be mitigating any of that attack speed slow. And this Aphelios 4 is going to destroy here. Can Yone take it out? It did in the previous fight, I believe, but no, this Aphelios is going to be way too powerful right now. Look at that power. Diana even still living this whole fight as well. Yeah, 18k damage from Aphelios there. Oh my, oh my.
Oh, Wolfie, I think, did win. That was probably against
Against
Malaka
Malaka,
then.
yeah, it had to.
As we're actually pushing a legendary comp right now, because I saw an Ezreal 2. So that's a set 2, an Ezreal 2, Zillion 2 for Wolfie, I believe. And that's pretty good. And it's going to be the Warwick for Malaka versus the Moonlight Hunters of Riku. So yeah, Moonlight still coming strong. If we talk to Riku again, be really intrigued to see, like, no one is running this because Diana got nerfed, right? No one ran it last week because Diana got nerfed. But Aphelios, I think, is the claim to fame right now.
Oh yeah, Aphelios definitely. That comp, yeah, I've seen people start playing it a bit more on a ladder. I forget the player's name who popularized it, but I saw them in like Soju's stream a couple days ago and kind of showing Soju how to play that, and it seemed really, really good there. Gonna be Riku winning this round as well up against Wolfie, but Wolfie is going to hang on just barely. Malaka, not strong enough, however. Now, Warwick comp did get nerfed a little bit. It is still good. That comp can still win lobbies, but not against these strong comps here. We got a legendary composition for Wolfie. We got a super strong, pushing level 9 Moonlight Aphelios composition from Riku. Like, this is going to be the top tier, like, strongest of the strongest comps when we're reaching the very, very late game here. Or going to level 9 as well right now as Riku.
Yeah, and we still can upgrade that Ash. We still have room to grow, which is, I think, the scariest thing. Yeah, we're running Goodnight Moon, but we just got even stronger with that Warwick too. And the thing about this Warwick is with the Divines in on the board, as well with the Hunters, you're going to be getting a lot of attack speed, even if there's just one kill. So you're going to be finding a good amount of value from that Warwick, even if we find just one kill, as we do move our items onto our legendary units. Love the Hand of Justice on the Yone. The QSS also going to be helping, but you got to focus, buddy. You got to be able to focus fire down your friends, and no one is dealing with that Aphelios in the back line. This should be a Riku win.
Riku win indeed in lobby number 2. Wolfie getting
Good night,
second
Moon.
place yet again. Good night, Moon, indeed. As we were saying, good night to this lobby. Riku dominating it. I think this was on the same round as it ended in game number 1 and 6-5 with someone who was like 50 plus HP. I think Riku was 60 HP there on that win. So it's just one player kind of like taking over the game and running with it once we get to that later stage.
Yeah, actually very different than what we're used to seeing. We are actually used to seeing that top 4 getting really close at the
Oh
end
yeah.
of the game, just based on power levels. But today has been pretty different, just overall. So it's been a very unique day because again, with I Like Hobos having a little bit of a hard time, with getting that first and that eighth, right? Like today's going to be crazy. So I'm pretty excited to see those scores.
Yeah, definitely. These scores. Oh, I love seeing scores like this, actually. Wolfey in first place right now after 2 games, 16 points. Are we going to get a Wolfey interview? That would be dope. We still got 2 more games to go. Young Jame, Malaka, and Riku tied for 13 points right now. Within with the first and the eighth is at 11. Still within striking distance, though. But I Like Hobos. Really rough start to the day, actually, with I mean, a
Mhm.
7th and then a 5th, but man, it's still low when it comes to the overall points here today, Boop.
Yeah, there was just something about this lobby that I knew Wolfie was gonna do well. And 2 second places is amazing for Wolfie. That's by far the best he's ever played in a fight night so far. So I'm really, really proud of him. And honestly, a lot of the rest of the lobby, because with Numano and Hobos literally dominating over the last 6 to 7 weeks,
Yeah.
right? Like it has been more than like a month and a half since we've had like this kind of lobby. It's been 2 people really, really close, and then everyone else, it is still anyone's game at
Oh,
any
yeah.
time right now. We still have 2 more amazing lobbies to go.
The three-way tie for second place. This is super hype after just 2 games. Got a lot I want to delve into, but first, we will be taking a short break, but don't go anywhere. We'll be back in just 5 minutes here on Fight Night Rising. See you in a bit. Hello, everyone, and welcome back to Fight Night Rising. We've had a couple of wonderful games resulting in some very, very close scores. Boop, I'm going to take a second and look at those once again, see who's leading things off after a couple games. And of course, it is going to be Wolfey. And you were talking about it a bit before the break, Boop. Wolfey impressing so much at this point.
Mhm.
Double seconds in a row. You're mentioning, can Wolfey follow up on that great game number one? He did. He followed up with not winning lobbies, of course, because we've had very, very dominant players in both of these games taking the lobbies. But still being able to consistently reach that second place mark above, six of the players in the lobby, super good. Can Wolfey still keep it up though into games 3 and 4?
I think he can, because right now Wolfie's been the three C's, right? Calm, cool, and collected,
Yeah,
and it's been very, very obvious, even in the way I was kind of talking about, oh, he's a streamer, I can read his face really well, but that actually matters to me because the last two times we've seen Wolfie, it's been more frustration. It's been catching mistakes, right?
yeah.
And he's just playing TFT right now. He's vibing, and that's exactly where you want to be. I cannot say the same for someone like Within, who has had a polarizing day, literally a first and an eighth. And so, where do you even put yourself at that position, right? Like, how do you feel after that? I would have no clue. And so, if I'm Wolfie, two second places, I feel great. And I have a little bit of a cushion too. I have a 3 point cushion on second place. So the only person with that space, I'm feeling pretty confident about that top three for Wolfie, and it's all about if we're going to win because I think our biggest threats right now, for the top of the lobby, Riku is there, but I like
Yep.
Hobos is not. So there's just one less person to worry about right now. As I like Hobos is I think 9 points or 10 points behind Wolfie right now.
Yeah, I believe it is a full 10 actually. But yeah, no. Talking about Wolfie being calm, cool, and collected, I think that goes a long way into talking about Wolfie's just experience as a competitor. If you competed for so many years as Wolfie, you're gonna be calm, cool, and collected in these tournament situations. You're gonna know it's just another game. Your gameplay is not going to deviate from the norm. You're going to be still making the correct decisions. And Wolfie's TFT performance is just going to get better as time goes on. We're going to see less inconsistencies there, only more solid performances. Of course, TFT, like card games as well, a bit of a game of RNG a little bit, but you're going to know from playing it more and more and getting better how to mitigate that RNG more often, how to play tier outs a bit better, and just play that more effectively than all the rest of your opponents. And
Mhm.
Wolfey, 3 points ahead of the rest of the competition, at least right now, looking to be pretty good. I don't expect to see Wolfey's play deviate much as we might see
True.
from A players such as I Like Hobos, such as Within. So we'll just have to see as we're now into game number 3, starting off with Jamanthium right now, starting with
I
that
love that name.
Pure Lysandra Jamanthium. Yeah, periodic table
Yeah,
reference
I
earlier.
don't
It
know
kind of
what it
sounds
is.
like it, but like I like the name too.
Yeah,
It
there's something
rolls off the
charming about
tongue
it.
well. It
Yeah,
rolls off the tongue well for sure.
but I definitely would have made that same decision. There's something about early Wukong that I love. It falls off very, very quickly, but I think it's from like old school Donkey Kong. It's funny. It's funny to call that old school, especially since it was this set.
Yeah,
But it feels like a long time ago.
it's
In
just the pacing
esports,
of TFT sets.
yeah,
So
in esports time, it has been a little bit of time.
yeah,
Um, uh, and so we actually are getting some AP. Unfortunately for young Jame, I think the locket is I think the only way to go if we're going to slam, as all of those items go really well with components we don't have right now
yeah. I mean,
outside of
Luden.
the locket or the Ludens, but I think locket has a little bit more staying power, and we don't have the Nami, right?
Yeah.
So we
No.
shall see. If we get a chosen Nami next, then we're gonna see the Ludens.
Yeah, sure. If we get a chosen Nami for sure. I do see it paired on a couple of the units as well. I think I've seen Lissandra's carry it. I've seen TF's carrying it as well. If you don't have anything else, sure. We do have the potential of a locket though, and depending on if Jamanthium needs a bit more damage, might make Ludens. Needs a bit more survivability, might make the locket. We already have 2 Vanguards, so we do have that survivability already. Vygar, I suppose, could also carry the Ludens. Although if we're going to be considering Elderwoods and Vygar, because you have the Nunu as well at this point, with the Vi in the shop for brawlers, we could maybe go a blue buff, Gunblade sort of direction here. It's going to be pretty risky to commit to it, though, especially just at this point in the game. But I'm going to see what Jimanthium ends up doing here soon.
Wukong's going to front line, and the Viger just going to get as strong as possible in the back
Ooh.
line. We actually get a moderately favorable matchup, as we are Vanguards versus only Vaynes. It's like that
Yeah.
Spider-Man meme, right? Like, you? No, it's you.
I've seen 2 Vaynes on the board at once. I don't think I've ever seen 3 Vaynes on a board at once. ILikeHoboes setting
a cheat
fight night
code.
records here.
Most Vaynes on one board.
Yeah.
Let's not get too cheeky with those, because we're gonna get players in fourth lobbies probably doing that. I have done 5 Yumis once just for the memes.
Oh boy.
And it's just like all you hear is like the chime just over and over again and no damage. It's so funny because once the other units die, all the Yumis fly with each other, and since
Yeah.
they're all just like chasing with each other, it's honestly hilarious. Only do it in a normal game. I think it's worth it, like just to see the one time, because my friends and I still talk about it, and it's been
It's an
months.
experience.
Yeah,
It seems
you
like.
know.
Yeah, it
So,
is very memorable.
but yeah, we're still looking over at Gymanthium, and we have that mage chosen, so that's
Yep.
actually a pretty big deal when it comes to
Oh.
being able to survive this early game. Without that mage chosen, I think we lose these 4 rounds, but we have the mage chosen instead. We're going to spend our money, and we're going to get that Viger powered up 2
Yep.
AP every time it kills a unit.
Yep, and the TF cards hit really, really well, actually. I think both sets of cards there hit multiple units, so really, really good TF micro there. But Jimanthium is one of the players who's tied for second place right now with 13 points. It's going to be Riku, Jimanthium, and Malaka being the 3 there. So Jimanthium well within striking distance of getting first place in this fight night potentially. Moving on over to Riku right now. Again, our winner from last week and going to be the winner of that last game. Has some pretty good Moonlight opener here. Already a chosen Moonlight Lysandra and a Diana too. So that's going to be evolved into Diana 3 when every single round opens up.
Yeah, and Riku already has shown that they're very capable of running this Moonlight comp, winning the last lobby with it. And I'm really happy to see that, because we only ran Warwick last week. And when it comes to like War Weeks, as we've called it before,
Yeah.
I'm always really intrigued to see, of our returning players, who was just a Warwick one trick, right? And who has the capability of being more flexible. And it seems like Riku has 2 comps that he really likes, which is that Moonlight and that Warwick. And you could do both in the same comp if you want. As we saw in that last round. And Riku also, it's funny, he's like the opposite of Wolfey. It's like only the stale face so far. Like, that's the type of competitor that gets to me, right?
Yeah.
Because I'm so like into like visual feedback when it comes to talking with people, right? I'm definitely like an ostentatious type, and when I get someone who's like, yeah, blah, 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 and they're like, uh-huh, man, that is one way to keep power over me. And so Riku, in terms of like intimidating competitors, definitely up there for me.
There
As
you go.
you can't read them, right?
Yeah, the presence, like you're sitting at like a poker table. It's like, oh man, how do you read a guy
Yeah.
like that? It's you just don't know. It's a lot of unknown factors there. But maybe it is just, some of the calm, cool, collected vibes just presented a bit differently. Of course, talking about, the emotions of a streamer, you can read them real well. Wolfie been, doing it for years, of course.
Uh-huh.
But maybe Riku, focusing up a bit more, just gonna internalize a lot more of those emotions. But
And
either way, though, still gonna be doing pretty well so far.
yeah, I've been loving these warlord starts that we're seeing really, really early. It's funny because like we leave someone at like 3 warlords, 2 keepers, and we come back and they're like all elderwoods all of a sudden. That's just warlords for you. They just max out super quick
Oh,
when
yeah.
it comes to team comps. A lot of them are really good transition units. Like Jarvan's a great unit to use as a pivot unit. right? You keep the Jarvan in, you pivot him out, and then you're able to get some other synergies. But we're definitely going to be seeing Riku commit to Moonlight at this point. I don't see why not.
Yeah, I think so. Riku, no stranger to it, did it last week as well with Diana. The Diana being the focus of it is a bit riskier as it has been nerfed. Grabbing or probably going to grab another Lysandra in the shop, and yes, does pick it up. So I could see that direction very well be committed to. You even have the Lux at this point as well for a couple Dazzlers, and I don't mind that direction here at all now. This round is going to be an important one to win, however. Winning is going to mean you're able to make 50 gold next round. It means you're also going to be making subsequent just win streak econ gold for the next 2 rounds in a row, with the +1 just of winning the round. So a lot on the line here, I think, actually.
All right, let's see if Riku is going to be able to take down ILikeHoboes, who has actually started very similarly than last time. I'm
Yeah,
intrigued to see if that's a Dusk or a Sharpshooter. Looks like it's a Sharpshooter chosen when it comes to that vein, but no one's really going to be surviving against that Diana without any CC here. And we already have the cloak, so I mean the sparring gloves, and so we could put a QSS if the lobby does go heavy CC.
a lobby with it. I think that'd be super neat to see, as it's a bit more of just comp diversity, and that's something that I think we both like.
Yeah, and Vayne is just one of those. Vayne has, I think, a lot of Summoner's Rift fans, right? Is probably
Yeah,
one of the hypest playmakers in all of Summoner's Rift,
for
right? So I
sure.
think coming here, you kind of want her to feel the same way, right? A la last set, or what was the other set she was in? Set 2, I believe.
Uh,
Or was it set 1 with the Silver Bolts?
Yeah, set 1, I believe, with the silver bolts it was,
And 3 with the Tumble. And
yeah,
then yeah, and 4 with this one, with this version, which is the Silver Bolts again, and I just have never felt like Vayne ever hit like Vayne, right?
yeah,
And when I do see it happen, it is incredibly satisfying, especially if you get like the attack spread with like the Hurricane, for example, and you just get a bunch of Silver Bolt procs. And if you're an idiot like me, you put the IE Jeweled Gauntlet on her, because yeah, it works, guys. It works, and it will win you rounds until it doesn't. And when it doesn't, it doesn't. As we're going up against Young James this time.
yeah, so something that's very telling right now, I thought Riku was going to make the locket to put on Lysandra and use that just as the locket carrier, but the locket actually goes on Diana right now, and the IE is not gonna be committed to, so either we're gonna see this, be pivoted out later on, or we're just gonna see a we're just gonna see a Diana with a locket here, and it's another Diana found as well, so Riku could feasibly still roll and hit these, and yeah, some rolling is going to be coming through here. Maybe it's just going to pivot onto an Aphelios, actually. I think the Diana is actually most likely just going to be an item carrier to go on the locket on the Lysandra later, and then moving the Hand of Justice
Mhm.
with other items like a QSS onto the Aphelios at that point. I think that's going to be huge when it comes to overall power throughout multiple stages of the game. Not going to want to pivot too early, but just play strongest board with still keeping that end game composition in mind. So I think that's really intelligently played from Riku right now. Only person in the lobby on a win streak here. Gonna be looking to keep that up.
And so we're running Dusk Vein again, actually, with I Like
Oh
Hobos.
yeah, it was
And
Duskfan.
it was
Yeah.
Dusk. There was an Italy there, which was procking those other sharpshooter silver bolts. So well, I mean, it's gonna be tough. Dusk Vein is only good once you get the other Dusks in, right? And whenever you have a unit that's gonna be kind of wasting a chosen stat, I feel like Vayne can on the Dusk side of things. Um,
Yeah.
that's just not really where you want to be. But these thresh shields are going to be huge. And
Yeah. Speaking of other Dusks, we got a couple in right now.
we got that Cassiopeia to try to keep that vein safe. But again, the damage here is all on one person, and then when the Nidalee Spear comes, right?
Yeah.
And we'll see if that's going to be enough.
Committing to selling the rest of the cultists as well. Not going to want to put those back in later. Just wants to make 50 gold, make that econ, and that's going to propel you to be able to roll faster to find that vein 3 if that's direction Hylikovas wants to commit to, and it looks like it might very well be just that. Nidalee Spear is huge there, but the vein getting stunned out, I think it'll be a loss by 1 unit here, and ooh, yeah, okay, lost by 1 unit there. That's actually best case scenario for Hylikobos there. Gonna be able to pick second. And Woofy, I feel like we always see Woofy at like 68 HP, like in the 60s when we get to
Yep.
stage 3 carousel right before the wolves.
Yeah, and this is a much more like traditional lobby, I feel like, from what we're used to here at Fight Night. This HP spread is way more traditional than
Yeah,
like 100, 100, 60, 60, 66,
yeah,
60,
and like
48.
40. Yeah,
Yeah, exactly. So this means like if you guys are just learning TFT, if you're coming back after a while, whenever you see a lobby like this, that means yeah, the power's at the top, but it's going to be a little bit more spread out. That means the powerful units are more spread out too. They're not all being hoarded by a specific player. Maybe Joshy at the top or maybe Riku, but everyone else sharing a similar pool. And it's also good to see Para there in third place, who I think has actually been playing well. Has just had a kind of bad luck today, to be honest with you.
yeah, it'd be interesting to see. I mean, almost again made that miracle run to top 4 on game number 1, didn't quite do it. Game number 2 looked a lot more doomed though.
Yep.
A bit more of debate if like that was played optimally, but I didn't see the whole game in fact. But being a bit better off as of now. I like Hobos 1 vein off from a vein 3 and has a pair of ribbons right now. So I think actually, if a Dusk Chosen Vein comp is gonna work out here, it could be done right now. You're gonna move that Nidalee and make it into a Jhin later on. You're gonna keep your Vein itemized, and as soon as Riven gets, a couple of tanky items, you're gonna be feeling pretty good. ILikeHoboes even winning that round as well. Maybe wanted to lose it by 1 unit, so winning it by 1 unit just to make some more econ in the long run, but preserving HP still not gonna be too bad. The bottom 3 players actually last round won, and the HP differential is, like, super, super tight this game, as you were saying.
hmm And the other thing about I like hobos that I'm actually really, really into right now is the fact that we hard committed to Dusk Fane, right?
Yeah.
A lot of people have said that this is bad, but maybe we just aren't innovating. Right. But this is also one of those situations where you don't want to get baited it to be like, oh, Dusk Fane is good. We have
Yeah.
four forecast units. We have three forecast
3,
units
yep.
at 2%, right? So that is not gonna happen to you most likely.
Yeah.
And so this is only working because of the RNG pools we're hitting is kind of like the terms that we've been using. And
Mhm.
we're still not necessarily winning by a lot, even if we have an early forecast.
Man, that's an important run win there. Means going a two win streak for Hobos here into the neutrals. But yeah, going back to the forecasts, one of the ribbons was picked up from Carousel. So I mean that's not gonna happen very, often, however, though. Getting a ribbon with a vest on Carousel, a bit lucky. But still managing to grab it though. And you have good items. You already had a bramble made on the Elise, just swapped it over to the Riven, put another Elise 1 in. And now ILikeHobos has a couple of options here. You could go more keepers. If you find a Jarvan, could put 4 in, level up at that point. Or just roll down super aggressively for the Vayne at this point. That's going to be a decent option. Finds an Elise too. Finds the Jarvan as well, and the Vayne 3. So everything is talking about actually was found here. It's going to be awkward to run 4 keepers right now until you reach level 7. So just actually going to play the second Riven right now. Be curious to see where these other items delegated to. It looks like it will be the GA for the Riven though.
GA for Riven is a wonderful item. The only one I think you like more is Ionic Spark on on the Riven. That's our favorite item, and it's funny. Anytime I have it and I see a Riven, I build it for you, man. I hope you feel it. I hope you feel it.
I
Uh,
feel the love. I feel the
yeah,
love there, yeah, for sure.
because it's like I literally hear you like, I really like Ionic Spark. You should put it on the Riven. I'm like, okay.
Yeah.
And it works. It always works. I love GA Ionic Spark Bramble, which is a possibility here. A little bit of
Yeah.
magic resist, a little bit of armor, actually a lot of armor, an extra life. You get shielding. I think it's a really great combination. Plus your keepers, which we have 4 of right now. So
Oh,
we're
yeah.
gonna put all of our power budget into 2 carries, which is fine. Which is going to be this Vayne and this Riven, who Riven has almost perfect items, in my opinion. The Vayne,
Yep.
okay items, but
Yeah.
we are at least tier 3.
They're solid. Tier 3 is most important part, but Renan's QSS I think is very, very good. I guess I'll say. Talking about the Riven item choices, of course. I think we've heard it from players in interviews as well, and just, knowledge from other really, really good Dusk players. Riven is not going to be your like you want to prioritize perfect Riven items. They kind of like Riven just takes your excess items and rolls with them, right? Like if you make a Bramble, cool. You make a Sunfire, whatever, like Declaw, QSS, GA, Ionic, like you just slap those onto Riven that you have left over. But your main carry is going to want to be like your Jhin, or in this case, your Vayne, because running that Vayne 3 here, Riven is still going to be solid. However, once we get that 6 Dusk online, the damage Riven will do is going to be huge. You have 4 Keeper right now because Hobo's leveled up to level 7 now. On that last round 4-2. Like this is the favorite ILikeHobo spot in this game. This is the comfortable position to be in, and I mean you can really tell in the play here and in the win streak. It's going to be 4 wins in a row. Looking for that 5 right now.
Oh, man, I like hobos. It's good to see you back, buddy. I was worried
Yeah.
for a bit because with new mono last week, he never came back.
Oh,
Right. And
yeah.
so I like hobos might be the one to do it. And this would actually be absolutely wonderful. I love it when players make me eat my words. Right. Like it is as a
Yeah.
caster, I love when I'm wrong when it comes to telling people to, okay, you need to be doing this better. Right.
Yep.
As we do win out anyway. But I like hobos very close. If we end up getting like a third and a first on these next 2 lobbies and we sneak into the top 3, then yeah, I've eaten my words and I'll say it.
Mhm.
But we still have a little bit of a ways to go. This comp is only going to get stronger if we get to that 6 Dusk, especially once we have that Lilia as well to do a little bit more CC. But as of right now, I think I like hobos. Is vibing. We're feeling good.
Yeah, definitely feeling pretty good right now. 72 HP, only person above is Riku at 73. Para, once again, towards the bottom of the lobby, 31 HP. And, ILikeHoboes is scouting that board out, covering over some units right now. Maybe has some commentary about this board. But yeah, the board doesn't look very strong from Para there. Needs to strengthen it up here soon. Oh, actually, he's level 8, 40 gold. So that's going to be huge. Going to be rolling down. Yeah, let's actually take a look at this roll down from Para. Is going to be passing up an Ash Chosen. Yeah, doesn't really have the items for it. Already has the Jhin 2, already achieved with a Hodge. The only awkward thing I really see here is you have the Sunfire built as well as the Morellos. They're going to be doing kind of the same effect there, so a bit of anti-synergy. You have the Jarvan with the Chalice buffing nothing, so not enough time to reposition well enough there.
You know what?
Aatrox
Maybe
to be
he's
grabbing that Sunfire.
using the power of heart. The worst Captain Planet power. To help those
Yeah.
around him. It's for the environment. We love the environment, especially on Runeterra, right? And so we're just giving it
Yep.
a little bit of a dusting of happy, uh, with the chalice.
A little bit of that, but it was not good enough to win the round,
No, it was
unfortunately here, Boop.
not.
No, but I mean, 30 gold left still at the last round. Like, Para needed to roll down a lot earlier. Like, you can't be having any losses at this point if you're Para. Every round loss just makes it that much more difficult to scrape a top 4 placement, because once you get to stage 5 with 1 or 2 lives remaining, it's just unlucky matchups mean it's just going to spell the end here. The Keeper Ken was chosen. I think that's a fine thing to grab, but you're at 0 gold now. You still have a Nico on the bench. And honestly, you're not that strong. The front line's a bit lacking still.
Mhm. Oh man, that Yone absolute destruction across that team right now. 18 HP. Are we even going to get a couple kills? Yes, we are. So we're going to be able to live into chickens
Yep. Just barely. One life
and
left.
7 HP. The last time we saw someone do this, they only lasted 1 round. We'll see if Para is going to be able to break the curse. We're going to sell the Yone. We're not going to be able to 2-star it. It doesn't really fit into our comp anyway. We do have a Nikos though, so if there
Yeah.
is a saving grace for Para, it is that Nikos. But where would it go? We could put it on Zillion, but we do have another free pack coming up. And if we pick up another Lilia, maybe we Nikos that.
Yep.
But at least we have our main carry, which is that Jhin, who I hope we get some items on here soon.
Yeah, I was gonna say the items, like the items here only look good if you've slammed them early and are using them for an early win streak. But the fact that Para is one hit and has bad scaling items into the late game here, it just feels kind of doomed. Actually, like you need to be able to roll like a chosen that okay, you have to take the chosen, I think actually for Mystic. Gonna have to be the play here. Put in that Riven, find another Riven, Nico it to Riven 2, I guess. Like, I don't know. It's just so awkward. And Para using the Nico though, but these movements are a bit slow here. Like you don't know where these items are going. It's just a bit rough here.
The intention just isn't
Yep,
quite there yet. So what this means is the value for these units just isn't going to be there. We're going to have late value. For example, that Riven has already ulted, so that Grievous Wounds is not going to be applied. And yeah, we might be being a little nitpicky, but against someone else, that could have been the at 7 HP.
yeah,
You need to get it done,
for
right?
sure.
There isn't any excuse. Like if we had 60 HP, then yeah, take your time. But at 7, you might not have been able to get another round. And so we can be a little bit hard on Apera because we've seen him play really well. And yes, the highest rank so far for him has been 5th, but that was a pretty good 5th place.
Yeah,
And
for the position that he was in, for sure.
yeah, and I've been enjoying watching him as he's come on screen here as well. Obviously, super into it. If you go check out his Twitter, you'll see, and Instagram, you'll see that he makes memes and is contributing to the TFT community, not just as a player but as a creator as well, which is really really cool. So I hope that we get to see him shine at some point during the day today because it's been hard so far for our friend. Even when we're
Yeah.
playing well, we still got 5th.
Definitely difficult here. Going up against Within, who is level 8 on 0 gold. Both players have rolled it down to be as strong as possible here. The Zillion, if there's going to be any saving grace for Para, it might be the Zillion here, but even so, you have a Jhin with just one hand of justice, and that might not cut it. It depends where the bounce is for the Jhin. Fourth shot goes, and it does take out the enemy Jhin there, so might live but one more round at least.
And this is another, I hate to kind of keep harping on it, but we're also not like 2 HP away from 7th place, right? We're still like 2
Yeah.
whole round win from being able to even be close to claiming 7th place. So at least everything's going well right now. It could still be better. We could still find that Riven, which
Yeah.
apparently doesn't exist for Para right now, and get stronger. The Lilia could definitely be there too, get more people asleep. The Lilia Riven combo is something I really like in terms of waking up for that damage. And I think without that chosen Mystic, we lose those couple rounds because with that 4 Mystic, like against this particular team, at least with that Kennen ult, it should be pretty good. But we also have a fully stacked Jhin in the back line, which is stronger than your Jhin.
Oh yeah, 3 items is gonna be better than 1 item. Who would have thunk? But yeah, that's gonna be the end of the road here for Para in game number 3. Some unfortunate performances as of the past few games here. It was not but an uphill climb. It was an up mountain climb in that game for
There's
Para.
something
Just
there's something about him I like though. I can't
yeah.
I can't put my finger on it, but super entertaining. And again, the ideas are there. It kind of reminds me of Wolfey the last time we saw him,
Yeah, I agree
right?
with that
Like
analogy actually.
I think like the plays are there. You know what I mean? It's just we're still kind of filtering,
Yeah, you need to
right?
just like kind of sharpen them up just like a little bit more. Like
Yeah.
yeah, you have the knowledge. It's like getting there, but just a bit of I guess doing things a bit more with intention, a bit more like efficiently, and like boom, you're there. That's difference. Honestly, like TFT is kind of like a game of inches in that sense. So just a couple of slightly faster decisions or different decisions can be difference between like say that earlier 5th place and a top 4, or like 8th place and like a 6th with like it's that's a couple of points right there. And in tournament play, like every single point matters here.
And so Wolfie was on the bottom of the leaderboard, but has stabilized. This has been the name of the game for Wolfie. And the fact that this is predictable is very good in terms of Wolfie's progress as a player.
Yep.
When you kind of have a style, that kind of means you've carved out something for yourself and you've found something successful, right? We talk about ILikeHoboes. We talk about Numano. I talk about DQA all the time. Something about him that like I just
Yeah.
love watching.
Oh,
And so the man has the quickest brain, one of the quickest brains, I think, in TFT. And it's just like the best example of someone who enjoys the early game.
Yep.
As Wolfey is someone who is going to be more on like the Asian gamer side, not as like right that Asian gamer is, but Wolfey is working with the HP, and it's a little bit more pliable. It's a little bit more
Yep.
flexible. We got a little bit here, we got a little bit there, but now is when like the greats get separated from like the normals. Right? Is we're at 30. There's still 7 people in the lobby. Right? So we could
Yep.
still get 7th at 30 HP at 6-1 here. These lobbies have been going on much longer than they were last week because Warwicks aren't just destroying everybody. But
Yeah.
yeah, I think Wolfey has a lot to prove right now. We have perfect Warwick items, and we have ways to buff our other units as well. We do finally get that reset, but look at that shield from that Riven. That lifesteal, though, from that Warwick is potentially going to be the game changer.
Oh man, if this round is a loss for Wolfey, it's a Warwick nerf difference. And yeah, if that change hadn't come through, would have gone the other way. That just, oh man, it goes to show you. Within actually being eliminated in 7th place right now. So after that first, just not able to recreate those performances here. But 2 rounds ago, the whole rest of the lobby, the 7 players remaining, were within 20 HP of each other. Rico with 40, and I'm not sure if it was within or Malaka that had 20 HP. But this lobby is so close. We don't have that outlier as we did in games 1 and 2 with someone just way, way above the rest. Like, this is a very neck and neck race here in game 3.
It's been 1 week since you looked. Sorry. I'm so sorry. Do you know that song? It's been 1 week since you looked at me.
Oh, I do actually. Now that, yeah.
I had to finish out the line anyway. I hate when I hate when I'm like laughing by myself. I'm just like cackling in the corner. Happens a little bit too frequently. Maybe I should see
Oh
someone
no.
for that. Good thing I'm a caster. Maybe if I wasn't casting, I'd just be doing this by myself in front of the camera right now.
Yeah, now you have like an excuse, to do it. You can feel better about it.
Exactly. Okay, so we got Blue Buff Shiv, RFC on the Lee Sin. Why keep the Lee Sin in the front row, even with an RFC?
I mean, I guess you just wanted to benefit from the Zeeks and the lock-up positioning. I think the position could be improved upon a bit here, and yeah, this, I don't know. I was gonna say it might look a little bit better, but I actually think I'd rather the Warwick to the side as opposed to the Lee Sin there. We'll see how it goes here. However, the Shroud's gonna be hitting the Warwick, so that's gonna be a bad start for Wolfey here.
Ooh, and that Yone ulted right when that Lee Sin was going to kick. So the Yone is actually going to override that Lee Sin kick, and thank goodness for Zillion. If it wasn't for them, Wolfey would actually be losing these rounds by a lot. But we keep only losing little by little. We're at 6-1, and we still have 5 people. That's actually pretty insane
Yeah.
in terms of life totals. That goes to show how close it is. And I think we said how close this lobby was, in like 1-5. Right, or 2-5, right? 1-5 doesn't
Yeah.
exist. But 2-5 because the power difference was definitely spread out, and this is definitely why. But that means that there's probably a good amount of units still available for a lot of our players to get stronger still, since none of them are on fire.
Yeah. Definitely. Going into what could be Wolfey's last round of the game. Riku going, yeah, that Aphelios once again. It's not tier 4 yet, however, and it won't be in this game, but tier 3 Aphelios looks like it might be enough to take out Wolfey here.
But you know what? If you're Wolfey, you're actually feeling okay with that. You have a 3-point lead. You've, I believe, beaten a couple people who are in that 3rd place spot.
Yeah.
Is that enough? Yeah, so we do get -3, so we're going to finish in 5th. And we're actually okay with that, right? It's going to make our
Yeah.
last lobby a little bit more important because this last lobby is going to be close. There's a possibility we have like 6 people within 2 points of each other, which is actually pretty nuts.
Yeah, it's gonna be nuts. Wolfey did beat out Malaka. Malaka was one of the players with 13 points coming into this game. However, Riku and Jamanthium were the ones that were also tied with 13. They're both going to be finishing at least top 4 here. Riku looking like they might claim another first place here. Let's see how joshychann shapes up in these matchups, though.
Yeah, Joshy had a rough first lobby. Remember, we had the
Yeah.
consolation comp with the Ari, and now we're here in the top four. So love to see that. I like it when a lot of our new players get to experience that top four, and a new three is not going to be enough. Young James is going to, or Jamanthium is going to survive. We do have our top four. I like Hobos finishes in fourth place.
Yeah,
So, I mean, I think that's his best result today, which
it
is
is.
honestly pretty crazy. But yeah, we've got Riku at the top with 40. He seems to have gotten a lot of the power on his table. And then we've got Joshy at 20, and then Young Jame at 6. But seeing how Jamanthium lost that last round, I expect this to go down to Riku and Joshy.
So, interesting little statistic that I remember we brought up with Numano. Riku won 2 lobbies last week and has won 1 lobby so far, so 3 out of 6 of the
Oh, all
games that
right.
Riku has played in, Riku has won. Could
Okay.
even win this game and have a better record than Numano during the first 7 games of Fight Night. Just some
Mhm.
food for thought there.
That's true, but context is key. And Numano did maintain, like, I think a 50% lobby win rate through like 5 weeks
Yeah, I mean,
or
the
something
start is
like
here.
the
Yeah.
start is here, and that's the thing. You don't get there unless you start here, right?
Exactly.
Um, and so we're gonna see if Riku's gonna be able to finish things off. Young James will be potentially eliminated on this particular round. We'll see if Joshy is going to be able to take down Riku, and if Riku wins by a lot, we'll see how much HP gets depleted from Joshy. At least 15.
Yeah, not
Uh,
enough to be lethal. However, will be lethal for Jamanthium there, going out in 3rd place. So Riku might actually pull it off here. Another lobby win in a row. It's looking like. I don't think there's much that Joshy can actually do here to improve the composition as opposed to just finding like a tier 2 Yone. But even then, I think just that Moon Man, the Aphelios there, looks a bit too strong. Putting in a Zillion, that's a good call. Will it be enough though?
probably not, to be realistic with everyone at home, but we're putting our best foot forward, right? There's no reason to. I know people who will like sell all their units and then put a Yumi in just for the lulz.
Yeah,
At this point, but there's no reason not to put your best foot forward here. You never know what the game is going to roll for you, and you might get that 1 out of 10 that you win,
sure.
right? But really, if we do win, I think it more so extends the game rather than potentially wins it for you, because I think Riku would be able to reposition pretty easily, and we're not going
Yeah.
to need to.
No, Riku winning once again. Game number 3 going that way. And Joshy getting a second, though. That's pretty good. We talk about Joshy, starting off a bit, unfortunately, game number 1, but going from 8th place to, I believe, 6th, and now to 2nd. I mean, only moving up, which you can't be mad about that,
No.
having that improvement over the course of the night. Maybe even can keep on that streak and get a first in the next game. Maybe even get a top 4 or a top 3. Like the top 1 is going to be really really a hard fight, but the top 3 as well. A lot of players can be within striking distance of that, if not potentially nearly everybody. We'll see
Yeah,
though in a minute.
I think 7 people might be able to be in the
Yeah,
top 3. Um,
yeah, it looks like it actually.
yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
everyone
So
besides Para.
yep, 7 people definitely have the chance of making the top 3. A couple people have more of a chance, right? So we definitely
Hmm.
have gotten some separation with Riku at 23, Wolfie at 20, Young James at 20. So they definitely have, like, a Young James 767, by the way.
Yeah,
They're the ones to look at, but Malaka and Within, I believe, can. And I like Hobos and Joshy. If I like Hobos finishes, in first place, and he finishes ahead of everyone from Young James and below, he sneaks into the top 3. So
yeah,
we'll
it's
see.
possible. A route is there.
Exactly, exactly. So that goes for Joshy as well. So 7 out of our 8 players have top 3 potential. Unfortunately for Para, that's not going to be happening today. But there is always one person in the last lobby that absolutely screws over whoever comes into this lobby in first place.
Will
It
it be
is the
Para?
weird. I know, right? It is the weirdest thing. It was Numano last week, right? It is always somebody, and it is hopefully not going to happen to Riku, because before, those spoilers didn't really affect that much.
Yeah,
Affected the difference between second and third, but a spoiler here can be the difference between coming back next week and not. And
yeah.
so it's not over. It's not over for anyone here. And I've always said, I've also I did a little bit of reflecting in terms of family. It's the holidays. And I've
Of course.
realized my entire family is full of trolls. And it was a realization that now really makes a lot of sense for how I've become a person as I am. And I always say, if I love playing spoiler in last lobbies, so I could just be like, "Heh, I was I was useless for 3 lobbies, and now I did something, right?" And Para wasn't useless. That 4th place also was I really liked, and I've really been enjoying watching him. But there's nothing like ruining another person's day when your day is already ruined, right? I I'll never
Oh,
forget
man.
when I told the story a couple weeks ago, but I'll tell it again. My sister and I are like mega competitive.
Yeah.
Our mom is Korean, and we had like kind of like that stereotypical experience. And I remember we were going snowboarding once, and she fell off the lift, and then she grabbed me. And then instead of like just trying to wriggle away, I like retaliated. like, like I just like fell on top of her, right? Because I knew what was happening. And then when
Yeah.
I fell the next time, I grabbed her, and that's just like who we are as people. Don't worry, guys. I've gone through a lot of therapy, and so everything's good. Everything's good. We've talked about it. But yeah, that's what I'm saying. Spoilers, man. I love it. I love it. I don't know what it is, but I love being that person.
Don't hold any lifelong grudges for, knocking each other off of the work there.
Yeah, the mountain, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, falling down the mountain. I don't know, man. We were so competitive. I remember one time she came into the house before me and covered all my pictures with post-it notes, so only her
Oh,
pictures
no.
were visible. She was really mad at me for some reason. But I don't know. I've always said there's no relationship more violent and loving than an older sister.
Yeah, you say for some reason, I'm sitting here like, with the context you provided for us, Boop, I believe there's probably a very valid reason for that with how, competitive you're getting and getting back at each other for
Okay.
certain things.
I may have done the little brother thing where I hit the floor and was like, "Ow." Um, just because she was annoying me,
There
okay?
you go.
I
The
was
truth comes out.
exposed. I was exposed. Anyway, going back to TFT.
Back to TFT indeed. Starting off with the Gemanthium, a couple cultists, no chosen offered yet, scouting around, and we saw a chosen Lysandra. I believe it was Moonlight. Uh, could have been Dazzler, however, but I think we did see Moonlight there. Going into this game, Riku is in the Wolfey spot that we just saw going into game 3, but now Riku is in a 3-point lead of both Gemanthium and now Wolfey. They're both at 20 points. So now it comes down to a lot of factors, right? Talked about if someone can play spoiler, but it doesn't matter if someone plays spoiler if you're Riku and you just play that much better, right? If you get a top 2, you're chilling. You win Fight Night for tonight. You still could even win with something like a 3rd or a 4th, depending on other people's placements. But you gotta just play your own game right now. You gotta be calm, cool, and collected, and play to your win condition. And that's a scenario we know that Wolfey is good with doing, not only in TFT, but just being a competitor in multiple genres, multiple games for so many years. If someone can come back from behind and get that win, like we saw, for so many weeks. I like Hobos nearly not do it against Numano. Wolfey could do it against Riku here. Riku looking to defend the title, however, for 2 weeks in a row.
And for someone like Wolfie who has this experience, he's not been in striking distance of a first place.
Yeah, well,
Um
now.
until right now, and it's only gotten better. And while he does have, I mean, I believe he was a world champion at one point
Yeah.
in Pokemon. That's a little bit of a resume, if I say so
Oh,
myself.
yeah.
But what I'm saying though is it's so hard to, and this coming from Heroes, to transition into another game and try to maintain that same level of competition,
Yep.
right? And I think Wolfie is getting there. And it's really cool to be able to see people flex on a couple games. Reminds me of like FPS players that can play professionally in 2 different FPSs, right? Like Sinatra, who is in Overwatch and Valorant,
Oh, yeah.
right? And so
Yeah.
I think like Wolfie's like the card game version of that. And
Mhm.
so, and that's totally cool and really fine. Like I can barely do 2 things at once sitting here at the table. To be able to understand 2 different games at a level like that. And it's actually really funny is there's a good amount of the VGC peeps who play TFT and like coach each other. It's a cool little
Yeah.
community they got there.
No, definitely. I've seen at least a couple people, and it's been nice. I've seen a lot of them climb up, get better, reach at least like masters, if not more. Now, I'm actually not aware what rank on the ladder Wolfie is, but I mean, I wouldn't be surprised for it to be, like a top challenger with the amount of improvement that we've seen Wolfie have. I think another thing that I wanted to briefly touch upon as well, talking about players with other backgrounds, competitive games. I think that's one of the main differences I see in like just TF people who started competing in like TFT as opposed to people who have background in other games is consistency and like tournament performances. Like sure, you have like your ladder gods of TFT, but they're a lot of times inconsistent when it comes to tournaments. But players with that previous experience are gonna be able to come in and just kind of approach it a bit differently. We've even seen it in interviews before amongst the TFT scene, players giving other people, flack for not approaching tournaments as, we think that they should. I think, there was an Aegon interview in like the NA regionals recently where he had a pretty good thought about that, about some players just don't really play as they should in tournaments. And I think that applies a lot of the time in Fight Night Risings, but we don't really see too much of that. There are, of course, a bunch of newer to the TFT competitive scene players in Fight Night Rising. It's where these players can, for lack of a better term, come and rise up and get that, competitive kind of notoriety, that experience there. And we see a lot of great players rise up from that. We see players like, like Sphinx and that progression as well. It comes to mind, Gunmei of old and Numano recently as well. Of course,
Yeah,
not here this week, but still, we
Treebeard.
saw a lot of that progression. Yeah, exactly. So many people were able to see that kind of storyline break through here.
Yeah, and this is one of, if not the best launching point for a TFT name recognition, right?
Yeah,
I wouldn't
exactly.
say career, right? Because that's more, I think, personal in terms of you
Yeah,
have to do a lot personally to get there, right? But in terms of a logical step to be closer to that goal, this is where you need to be. And if you're here and you perform and you get to come back week after week, I don't think as many people know Numano, right, 6 weeks ago as they do now, right?
yeah, exactly.
And Numano has also gone to other tournaments and has barely lost all of them, which is, I think, the worst kind of losing. I
Yeah,
believe he's
I
gotten
hate it.
third and fourth in the last couple tournaments he's come in, and that's just the worst, right? Because then you lose based off of like three decisions out of the hundreds you
Yeah,
make, right? Over the length of the tournament. But now that we're back here in Fight Night, something that is really, really interesting again is this fourth lobby curse that seems to be striking Riku at least a little bit right now. Um, you can play Warwick all this time, right? Riku's been playing Moonlight this entire time, and for some reason, we go to the fourth lobby and we're like, let's do something different. Let's do something that we haven't done just yet. And yeah,
yeah,
maybe we didn't get the chosen, right? But we saw it with Loco Doco, right? Sometimes just playing what you're good at is gonna bring you the win, right?
true.
Loco Doco played Duelist 1 out of 4 lobbies, arguably one of the best Duelist players in the world. Won that lobby, didn't play Duelist 3 of those other lobbies, got fifth and below, right? So I think we might be in a moderately similar position here, but we have a chosen Elderwood, and so our chosen is not even getting the stacks for our Elderwood right
Yeah,
now that was recently buffed, and so this is odd that I feel like we've gone this direction, especially with only just like a Jax 2, right? But it seems
yeah.
to be kind of working.
I mean, look at this board. The board looks like it should be really strong, honestly. You have a Jax 2 with GA Sunfire. You have a Lulu 2, albeit it's not Elderwood as you mentioned, but still, like that's a Lulu 2 at this point in the game. It's nothing to scoff at. Finally, Riku going on or having a win, but it's kind of a bit late there, honestly. Would like to see that win come through to get a streak and at least a round earlier. I think that's what Riku is playing for there. You have 76 HP, not the worst. The gold's a bit low here. If you don't drop gold from these Krugs, you're going to be hurting when it comes to econ. The only real like saving grace, I suppose, is just the strength of the Jax and how well you position it into the rest of the players' compositions at this, kind of late early game to early mid game portion here coming up, and gets up to 20 gold at least here, so that's not bad.
Hmm. Got 2 items.
Yeah.
Ooh. Some players just tend to get cursed with good components, but not their friends, right?
Yeah,
Right?
yeah, yeah, yeah. I
Because
get that.
I love getting cloak and I love getting vest just in general. I feel like they build into a lot of useful
Yeah.
things, right? But not when I just get the cloak and the vest. You
Yeah,
know what I mean?
it
So
feels bad for sure in this scenario because you don't really want to slam a gargoyle stone plate. It doesn't feel great, but you'd very much want to slam things like a chalice or like a bramble
yeah,
or things like that. Yeah,
yeah.
definitely.
Exactly, especially if we're going to be putting it on, a Jax, which isn't going to be. It's going to be all right. He's not like the worst choice, but he's
Yeah,
definitely. I mean, you're not really ever really wanting to build Gargoyle Stoneplate. Just in general, there are much better options.
yeah,
It's not like the old Sir Thomas Gargoyle Stoneplate that did that healed you. Is what
yeah.
it
It's like
felt like.
invincible.
Yeah, because I think it counted the Aphelios turrets back in the day, which is so funny to me. But yeah, now that we are in this fourth lobby again, things are a little different because everyone knows there's nothing after this. So everyone can set themselves up for that win. Everyone can set themselves up, and everyone is going after the same thing this time, right? So if you're Wolfey, instead of going for a fourth place, right, you need to go for the win here, right? Because you could win this thing. Right. And so we need to invest, or we need to lose. And being in the middle here is somewhere I actually wouldn't want to be in this final lobby. I want to have a little bit of a clear path, and having too many options, at least for me, could be detrimental, which we've actually seen happen with Para, for example, with a
Yeah.
little bit of option paralysis when it comes to itemization.
Para having a decent start to the early game here, 88 HP, the top side of middle of the pack here. Wolfey, we've seen Wolfey towards middle of the pack, but bottom side a couple of times. But Wolfey sitting at first place right now, wins this round as well. But on our screen, we have Riku versus Within. Within having another summer performance to game number one, though. And with a start like this, I wouldn't be surprised if Within is able to transform it into another first because of that very, at least seemingly from what we've seen, a first or eighth play style.
And remember last week, Riku said, if you're gonna play in a tournament, you got to play first or eighth,
Yeah,
right?
true.
And
Very
so
true.
we're seeing that right now. I mean, he is speaking truth to his words, and I like it when a player commits, even if it means an eighth place, right? Again, my favorite word when it comes to casting any game is intention.
Yep.
You have to do everything with intention if you're going to be a professional player. Another way to say it, if you're kind of having a hard time, if that feels a little nebulous, you want to make every decision on purpose.
Yes.
And I think that's another good way of kind of explaining what I mean there.
Oh, definitely. I think that's, yeah, a really, really good way. The purpose has to be there, right? Because if it's not, then you kind of, I mean, I feel like, picking a bit on Para, but some of the games, it feels like the kind of intention there was a little bit lacking in some of those decisions when, we saw like the seventh and the eighth place there in those couple of games. So definitely has to be clean when it comes to securing a bit of better placements there. Talking about TFT being a game of, inches a little bit, game of just like a couple seconds can decide like so much actually, and what you reposition, what you buy in your shop, how you place it on the board before the round, like everything does go into to that regard. Riku also playing very first or eighth, as you mentioned, the interview last week. That's the style of play here. And Riku's been playing towards that. That's maybe why we see Riku with probably the best win rate that we've seen out of a player over the course of 7 games. Has won 4 out of 7 games so far in their fight night performances, but this one's looking a bit rough right now.
Hmm.
52 HP already on 3-5.
So that's really low for the people at home. 52 HP is definitely on the low side. 66 is on the low of acceptable, to put that into perspective, in my
Yep.
opinion. When we get to Wolves, we might expect someone to be at 52 HP, right? But we still have 2 more rounds to get there. And in terms of itemization, too, we actually have a good amount of components. We have 7
Yep.
components before we get to Wolves. So we actually don't have more to go. I mean, we have minimum 3 components, right? And so this NPC round might not be as impactful as Within wants it to be, but we already have a really nice opening when it comes to
Yeah.
these moonlights, and maybe that's why Riku isn't running them, because I think 2 other people are running moonlights right now.
Yeah, minimum 3 components you can get from the neutral rounds because, you get 1 from the stage, 4 or I guess 4 components because 1 from the stage 4 carousel, guaranteed here. So probably not gonna get too much from the wolves, however, is gonna be the point there. But we are on track to have a decently itemized Zed, and it looks like Zed and ninjas are the direction that Within is going to go here. And it's really nice for people to go with an HP lead. Oftentimes we see, Asian Gamer, the probably best ninja, best Zed player, going that route, but dropping low in HP. But if you're able to do it with high HP, it's going to set you up so much freer to be able to either push 9 faster or just have the HP to roll a Z3. The one thing that's kind of unfortunate for Within here is that they're contesting Para. Para actually has a shade chosen Z of their own. So contesting the Z means that maybe players will opt for that level 9 route, that legendary route on top of the Z, and not have to, roll down for that tier 3 or feel like they have to roll down for the tier 3 to be strong.
So Jamanthium will lose. Riku is losing again. 42 HP.
Oof.
Malaka, 51 HP. So a lot of people within striking distance not really showing up here in our fourth lobby. And is the fourth lobby curse real, folks? I'm starting to believe it might actually, like, every week I'm like, I don't know if this is real, but I think it's real. I think it's like
Yeah.
7 out of 8 weeks, whoever's leading in the fourth lobby, like, gets 7th or 8th. Like, it is absolutely insane how often that happens. I would love to understand the science behind that because it feels random, but obviously it isn't,
Yeah.
right? Or maybe I'm just kind of making a correlation where there isn't any, but very, very interesting. But I like to see Hobos there at the top. It's very intriguing as well that Hobos tends to run this Luden's Nami in the last lobby a lot. Uh,
Yeah,
I
I
don't know
mean,
if it's
maybe
just
it's
like how it
coincidence.
goes,
Yeah.
but that seems to be the case, and that's been moderately successful for Hobos. But yeah, we got 3 gloves. We have a chain vest and a Negatron cloak. So definitely a QSS on somebody, and then
Yeah.
we'll see where the Thieves gloves go, if we have any.
Yeah, we might see Thieves' Gloves go on somebody. I don't think it's bad, actually. I think it's actually a pretty solid item slam, especially if we're trying to maintain that win streak. It looks like it will be the case onto the Evelyn. I think that's perfect. The Zed's gonna want a probably Runeans there with that bow. Could be a Rage Blade, depending on what items you're able to pick up off of Carousel and Raptors. Of course, if Within keeps on this win streak, gonna be picking last on the Carousel, however. Going up against Wolfey, who is still pretty high in HP of his own. Both players here on 50 gold, though. Wolfey narrowly losing the round as Within keeps the win streak going right now. Super important, actually.
And Wolfie doing exactly what Wolfie needs to do in order to win out here. Within is potentially playing that spoiler. Could you imagine Within getting 2 first places, an 8th, and a 7th? Right? I
I
don't think I've
mean,
seen
yeah.
that score line before, but that could still be enough. You never know. But we are in the lead by quite a bit right now, 9 HP, but quite a bit to third place, which is 24 HP. Looking down at the bottom, Riku at 35. This is not going well. Maybe we just aren't playing Moonlight, and our Moon Boy Aphelios just isn't, holding our hand with the power of friendship,
Yeah.
and hunting some people down because this is not going well.
I'd be curious to soon check back in with Riku. I think being at 35 HP is not surprising if you're going for a first rate playstyle, because oftentimes if you have a poor start, you're gonna just greed all your HP and go all in. And if you hit, boom, first. If you don't hit, all right, whatever, eighth. And tuning into Riku now, it is not going to be a Moonlight composition. It is going to be 6 Elderwood with that Lulu on a board and an Ash 1. The thing is, you have low gold right now. You rolled down and only 1 Ash right now. 2 Warwicks, which is not bad. You can make a Titan's Resolve on that Warwick as well, and you're going to be able to get at least 1 more component, maybe another one from Raptors if you're a bit lucky here. So Riku has an out to get top 4, but I think winning with this composition from the state that Riku is in right now is going to be so difficult, if not impossible, honestly.
So we've got a couple hunters versus some other hunters, and we're gonna have Riku win out one more time. So we have righted the ship, but is too much damage been done? Right? Sometimes you go all in as someone who is ahead, and you lose, the money in that pot. and you give it
Yeah.
all to somebody else. And we might have done too much of that so far at 35 HP, but we're finally not in last, so we're starting to feel good. The comp doesn't feel weak anymore, right? It could definitely feel stronger, but we won that pretty handily. We'll see
Yeah.
if ILikeHobos is going to be able to continue that win streak with those Luden Nami bubbles. It seems to be working out well, and it doesn't seem like the lobby is mega strong within itself, right? Kind of like our last week's lobbies were very strong through the board, but as of
Yeah.
right now, there isn't someone with like a Warwick 2 with stacked items already,
Yeah.
or like a Kane 2 with, RFC. Which happens sometimes at 4-4, but as of right now, the power levels seem to be moderately evenly spread out outside of ILikeHobos, whose Nami is finding an advantage a little bit later in the game than one would expect. But everyone
Yeah.
else still doing all right.
Yeah, I guess I want to elaborate a bit more on the reason that I was a bit concerned for Riku here. And actually, that was a really, really good natural roll to roll an Ashe and a Nunu upgrade there because it gives much needed frontline. But I was a bit concerned for Riku because if you're Riku, right, you need to both get to level 8 at 5-1 and also hit frontline, Warwick 2, and Ashe 2 to have a chance of going like, at least like third in the game, right? And you'll only be able to do that at this point with naturally rolling things, or after you go to round 5-1 or 5-2, having like 10 to 20 gold to roll down with, and just pray that you hit in those rolls. The bit of a front line actually with that Nunu probably near made the difference in this fight. So Riku's gonna be able to win once again, go exactly to 30 gold. Riku could not afford to sell anything else on this bench right now. So the kind of the cards are aligning in the perfect order right now for Riku and what he needs to have done in this portion of the game. If Riku hits another item to go with that bow, put like 3 items on the Warwick perhaps, or maybe a Z0 or something for the front line, that would also be super, super clutch. But talked about, earlier, people having to do a little bit of an uphill climb. Riku's definitely following that same path here right now.
And it's gonna be pretty tough as everyone else is going to get a little bit stronger as we have the Yone too. This is what I was talking about. Where the power levels are going to be starting to increase.
Jesus.
Usually we kind of see this a little earlier, but right now, if you're Mr. Joshy, then you're probably chilling.
Level 7 Yone too. It's like when you
just
face
got
that,
right?
wow.
You're eating a smoothie with a spoon. Well, I don't you can kinda go on a walk real quick. When you come back, you'll probably still be in the game.
Yeah, no, definitely. It's always if you're around before neutrals and you lose, it feels bad, of course, trying to preserve that win streak. But it feels even worse when you just lose to like a high roll like a Yone 2 with someone being at level 7. It's like, all right, come on. Like, why do you gotta do that in this
Yeah,
lobby?
totally.
And not only why you gotta run into me on this round specifically. Like, ugh,
Yeah,
feels
it's
bad.
so when I was a music major, there was always like an 11-year-old who was better than me, right? And that always that's kind of what it feels like, right? You're like, "Oh, yeah, I'm killing it. I hit on this. I got my good
Yeah.
items. We're gonna, we didn't get any items that time. That stunk. But oh yeah, I feel good. Oh no, there's a Yone 2 already fully
Yep.
stacked with good items. No matter how good I feel about myself, I'm gonna lose to that. Um, funny story, I did lose to a 15-year-old once when I was in college.
Hey, it
Some
happens to the
kids are just
best of
really
us.
talented, man.
Yeah, yeah. No, I feel that. It happens.
Yeah, my mom
I was
laughed at me. Anyway.
oh, no.
Anyway, man.
I was watching that roll down with some bated breath for Riku there because Riku leveled up to 8, as I said, with actually a bit more gold than I expected because a lot of gold dropped on the Raptors. Riku had 26 gold to roll down with after leveling to 8. Did not hit the Warwick 2 or the Ashe 2 though, and that is what I was concerned about. And if you lose rounds because those are not hits, you drop down to 13 HP like we see Riku on right now, and potentially could go out soon if those are not found.
Everyone's still here at 5-2. So usually we've had a couple casualties by now, but I believe this is going to be a pretty long lobby to finish things out. All the lobbies have been moderately long so far. We still haven't hit our Warwick or Ash.
No, it's still nothing, and you're on 0 gold, you're just donkey rolling every turn for it, selling the vibe pair as well, like, this is not where you wanna be at. It feels so bad when you're just rolling, not hitting, and being 1 hit potentially from elimination.
Now you're looking at Wolfey's team comp, which is still running Warlord. So you're actually feeling moderately okay here. They're going to be pretty susceptible to this Giant Slayer on that Ash. Unfortunately, that Ash is only on level 1. And so
Yeah.
all of that extra damage, all of that base AD just is going to not really do much against these Vanguards and these Warlords on the on Wolfey's board right now. But things are getting a little precarious, Wolfey.
Yeah, Wolfey is actually playing this so well, I think. You still have a Nidalee carry on 5-2, and you win. I mean, you lose that round if you're Wolfey, right? But still 44 HP, third place with, again, running a Nidalee on 5-2. Like, I would never run a Nidalee on 5-2 at this point. But Wolfey, I think, going for that fast 9, gonna be looking to transfer items over there at that point. Fortunately for Riku, now has found the Ash 2. That is huge. Even sells the Warwick pair though for a set. I mean, you gotta do what you gotta do at this point. Malaka also fell in 8th, by the way, unfortunately.
Oh, no, was within striking distance, but unfortunately could not finish it out in the last lobby. It's good to see Para still around, by the way, especially in that top 4 right now, but
Yeah.
this is a pretty close lobby. We've got Riku at 13, 71 at the top, but everyone in the middle, at least from 3rd to 5th, is interchangeable at this point in time. Will Young James be able to take down this Ash 2? It looks like it's going to be quite difficult as that Yone's ult was canceled. And so no extra damage on the Ash in the back line as Young James is going to fall. Riku survives another round. Will Ash 2 be enough for a top 4? It's looking like we might be able to sneak in on it. And will Wolfey get another Warlord spat? That's the question.
I'm leaning towards no. I don't think Wolfie is committing to the Warlords. I think they'll just use a transition, but Jamanthium as well, just gonna take that regardless. Note, Jamanthium and Wolfie are tied for points coming into this game, 3 points behind Riku, and Riku's on 13 HP right now. Jamanthium on 7. Wolfie's still 29 HP, a few lives remaining.
Oh man, we haven't had a
Where's the
lobby this
bets?
close in a very, very long time. Thanks, Numano. Thanks, Hobos. And thanks, Riku from last week. But now it's do or die for a lot of these players, and so we do pick up another. Did we pick up another Warwick after we sold one? Is that what happened?
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah, just found a Warwick and rolled and didn't really find anything else in that next shop there. Has a Yone, can't really play it unless you want to drop 4 Brawlers or 6 Elderwood, but you don't really want to drop any of those right now. So the Yone will get sold. Bramble will be put on somebody. Maybe the set. I guess I would say.
And so
Let's see. Going up against
where
Within.
where is the rest of the power level on this lobby? We have RFC Hurricane on that Zed. Going to take down that Ezreal really early on. And a lot of people will really underestimate Ezreal's healing capabilities, especially when it comes to comps like Elderwood. But it looks like this Zed is going to be stealing a lot of damage from this Ashe. And then the set is going to mosey on over at some point. I don't know where he learned to walk. But
Yeah.
we have 2 HPs. Young James will finish in 7th place. So a 6th place, kind of sneaking in there onto that 6th place. Joshi in 5th, Para in 4th, Wolfey in 3rd, ILikeHobos in 2nd, and then way ahead of that is Within. And maybe Within's just one of those first to 8th players too.
Yeah, riding the win streak from the early game super, super well both games. Within definitely knows how to translate a lead into a like almost guaranteed top 4 just with the HP differential. Within playing super well in that regard. Maybe even could translate it into a first once again though. But looking Riku against Para the other Zed player here, going back to back up against Zeds.
So we've got Zeds. We have had a lot of moonlight today. So our assassins are shades having a little bit of time in the moonlight
Yeah.
right now. And Riku is going to potentially win out another round. Para will fall. And Riku holding on, man, just barely. You know, it's like, in the movies when someone's hanging off on a cliff, right? And then like her
Yeah.
pump falls, and then they're like pinky finger falls right now. He's kind
It's
of
like
like,
slowly, yeah.
yeah, exactly. He's like free solo right now, at 2 HP, and he does not have a safety line. 18 HP for Wolfey. 18,
Oof.
17, 17, 16. Look at that. 5 or 4
This
people within 2 HP of each other. Have you ever seen that?
maybe, but like, a couple of times only, but definitely not often at all. And this is coming down to the wire here. Wolfey actually has the 8 warlords still in, has sold the chosen, as now okay, imagine if Wolfey finds like a chosen warlord Azir. Like, ooh,
Also has
oh
3
man.
orphan. So, we've actually been
True?
making a lot of money. Um, uh, let's go ahead and roll down. We're gonna be spending a lot of money here. We're at level 9. We have a chosen brawler set.
Yeah,
Um,
you take that. Warlord it. I like it.
no chosen warlords for us today, but this is still going to be very, very difficult to beat. We spent almost all of our money. We're at a bagel right now, and I like the fact that we invested everything. We're already at level 9. We've maxed out, and we only have maybe 1 or 2 rounds to go. There might not be much time to spend money. Will Para
Yeah.
fall here, or will Wolfey? They're only within 1 HP of each other. I believe if there's 6 units on the board, that is going to be a KO for one of our players. And right now, Wolfey is looking quite good because of that cat ult in the back line. And of course, the set is going to ult in possibly the worst
Oh,
place possible. That is unfortunate for Wolfey. That set, all he needed to do was look to the left just a little bit,
yeah.
right? And potentially pop every single one of those units.
Oh man, Joshy fell there. Riku at 2 HP. I like Hobos at 4 HP. Tied with Wolfey at 4 HP right now. Coming down to the wire here. We have 7 warlords in for Wolfey. Doesn't need all 7 in, so actually just runs another Azir. I like that. I do think I would have liked to have previously the Yone in instead, maybe. But regardless, the change has been made now. Positioning has been done. Gonna be scouting out to see the other players' matchups here, and it all comes down to this next couple of rounds.
Yeah, this cat's going to destroy that back line. Oh,
Oh,
okay.
gets taken out
So
actually pretty quickly.
yeah, we have the Azir getting in on the action. The set gets in on the back line as well. So this is going to be Ashe versus the world. And once again, that Azir ult so good at displacement. And the set's actually going to go straight to the Ashe. And again, not ult anything. That is so unfortunate. We had
Oh,
chosen set, but we do get a top 4. Have we
okay.
done enough? Para has played spoiler here, so we do get Para in a top 3. I like hobos. With that, Luden's Nami start is now right here with the 2 brawler. We've got a lot of 5 cost chosens. We're at level 9, and then everyone looking up at within at 71 HP. It's not looking bright, but this is going to be a battle for second, potentially. It'd be crazy if Para and hobos face off against each other on this next round.
Yeah, Riku is out in 5th and Wolfey out in 4th, and that's only a 2-point gap. So Riku does finish ahead of Wolfey guaranteed. See where the others are going to end up here with, Para on 3 HP, I like almost on a 4. The game could end right now, perhaps.
Yeah, if Para loses to his matchup and Hobos loses to this Ghost, which is looking like a possibility, no one likes losing to that Ghost. But will the set finally do something?
Oh, it's looking good there.
It's looking good indeed. And so we do finally find that victory. And everyone actually winning except for Within. So
Yep.
Within losing out on that win streak, 4 and 3 HP is going to be enough as we're going to be entering round 7 here very soon.
Yeah, we got a couple. I think every game, or a couple of games have ended on round 6-5. Could happen again potentially, but we'll see when those matchups come through. Para getting a top 3 here in this game, though. So I
Love it.
mean, not maybe playing spoiler to someone getting 3rd place. I don't know. We'll see the scores as they pan out, but I definitely like seeing that Para top 4. I think they've been long
Yeah.
overdue for that, and yeah, nice to see that in game 4 at least.
It was like, you don't want to take, someone to the ice cream store and be like, you can only get rum raisin, right?
What a
Um,
specific. What's
Obviously,
the
there's a story
flavor?
there. But
I
anyway,
assumed as such.
but anyway, right now he's gotten to get a little bit of a sampler. You know, he's gotten to try 30 of the 31 flavors or whatever at Baskin Robbins, right? Uh, let's see if might turn into a second place, as this is an elimination round. So someone
Yeah.
will be eliminated. Is it going to be Para or is it going to be Hobos? The cannon not really ulting anything in the back line, but
Ooh.
look at the spin to win on the cane. But there's going to be another cane spinning to win, as ILikeHobos doesn't want to watch, but he is going to be A-okay. He's going to get second place. Within did win out. So it's going to be this 1v1 right now. If Hobos
Yeah.
wins this, we're going to get to those 7-1. We're going to hit Shelly. And Within is competing for another lobby win to go with his other lobby win and 8th place.
I think ILikeHobos beat Within a couple rounds prior, so the potential is there. The Kane 2 and the set 2 with Titan's Dual Gauntlet is huge. Zillion 2 as well, actually. Had to sell the Ezreal pair there to be able to afford the Shen 2, but that's a decent amount of frontline. We have 4 Sand Soldiers in the frontline as well there, though, but ILikeHobos, super strong it looks like. See if he's able to hang on.
Yeah, ILikeHobos having a little bit of a reverse day today. It's opposite day for ILikeHobos. This his best result is actually going to be in the last lobby, but it's
Yep.
not looking good right now for ILikeHobos unless this set is able to change the world. And it
Not
looks
enough.
like it's not going to happen as ILikeHobos does fall. Get back on your platform. We got to see you win, buddy. There you go. Show off that shovel. Wait.
There it is. ILikeHobos in second place there, and the lobby win going over to Within. Very much that first rate play style. I'm very eager to look at the scores once you calculate everything up here, Boop, because man, this is one of the closest fight nights I think we've had when it comes to just like everyone being so tight in the race when like after just 2 and 3 games.
Yeah, very, very crazy days.
Oh
Rico
man.
wins by 1
Yep.
point. If Wolfey finished with 1 point more, he would have won, I believe.
Yeah.
But we and Within snuck into the top 3. Look, 10. 1, 2, 10.
That first wraith gets you top threes and gets you invited back to next week. Honestly, I admire a performance like that. You get the couple of wins, 50% win rate. Sounds pretty good, right? That's new mono-esque as we've talked about in the past. The other lobbies look a bit grim, but you know how to play from a lead, however, and
Yeah.
that's enough to get you into that money and for an invite back. Jamanthium, love the name, love to see the play, but that 7th place in game number 4 means you're just barely missing out on an invite. We're gonna have an interview once again with Riku, who has defended their title for 2 weeks in a row. But yeah, interview soon.
I cannot believe Within scores today. Anyway,
Yeah.
so Riku, it looks like he has been added to the group. Just say hello when you are here if you hear us. But in the meantime, what a crazy day. The leads changed a couple times. Only 2 people won lobbies today, right? It was
Yeah.
Within and Riku, and to have Wolfey only 1 point away without having won a lobby is actually it's very TFT.
Yeah.
Right? That's when consistency really, really matters. And I totally forgot until someone just reminded me that Riku's all about the dojo, the Karate Kid, right? What is the new series right now? That's Cobra Kai. That's
Yeah.
right. And so it looks like the second week in a row the trophy is going back to that dojo.
Definitely. And man, yeah, like there was points today where up to 4 or 5 people could have seen like win tonight, but it's gonna be Riku once again. And I think we're gonna have Riku here soon, so we'll be able to get that interview in there. And yeah, it's just like the caliber of play in fight nights as of late have just been kind of insane. Like I'm just so impressed actually, like just like every week with the players and how well they're able to adjust in a tournament setting such as this and able to like adapt, overcome, but just like for real though, like it's been a very exciting level of play.
I totally agree. And I'm actually really happy that you mentioned that because we've been doing this for a while now, and it's really interesting, even from the beginning, how people just approached the game. Right? It's just I think people who were masters back in set 1 are going to have a hard time finding themselves in diamond if they're playing the same. right? It's just everyone has gotten better, right? And so no matter who the name is, right, we can have a lobby with Treebeard, Loco Doco. Remember that one from
Yeah,
Emily from 6-7 weeks ago, right? That was stacked when we like came back from like a summer thing.
yeah,
But nowadays we'll have a bunch of new people and they'll knock these people out.
yeah. And I think we have Rico here ready for an interview. Rico, are you there?
Hello. Yep.
Hello, hello. Congratulations on once again winning Fight Night for 2 weeks in a row. Very, very impressive stuff. I want to start off with just getting your general thoughts. We have had a patch that players have had, a day or so to adjust to. What do you think has changed, and how did your approach change coming into this week? What were you planning to do, and did it work out kind of as expected for you?
It's pretty much the same patch. Warwick is a bit weaker, but
Yeah.
still TRS comp. I was planning on flexing between Warwick and Dusk, I guess. But then the Moonman happened.
Yeah. Oh man, the Moon Man looking pretty solid. Do you think that comp is going to be like a staple, like S tier comp, top comp in this meta, do you think?
Yeah, it's insanely strong.
Yeah.
But you need the correct chosen in order to play it.
Definitely. Boop.
Yeah, so I only have one question for you, and it's about itemization. So, when it comes to itemization, we've actually gotten a couple different answers when it comes to the players. How do you approach your first carousel versus kind of like the 4-1 after 4-1 carousels, right? Are you trying to go for a specific item to start to get and then win streak to get another item? Like, how do you approach items, particularly in the early game?
I tend to prefer items that will preserve my health or give me a flexible start, like an armor for some fire, locket, etc., or a tier for blue buff, hodds. So flexible items to preserve HP.
And
Yeah,
so
no.
actually I have a second question real quick. So how does it, it's usually uncouth to ask someone how they feel after a win, but you came in here and you've just knocked out 2 weeks, right? Do you think that what do you think is bringing you these victories? Is it your preparation? Are you doing like any kind of scouting, or are you just coming in with like that game plan that's like, okay, if I see the Warwick, I'm going to do that. If I see the Moon Man, I'm going to do that.
Actually, I I have not prepared that much. This week a bit more, but last week I was playing World of Warcraft. uh,
Okay,
I've
that
not
tracks.
scouted the lobbies, but yeah, just trying to play my best.
Hey,
Yeah.
you know what? That means that World of Warcraft might be a good trainer for TFT. How about that? Right? That's obviously what it means. Khroen.
Yeah,
Of
of course.
course. Yeah, no, but I mean, even still, just, even with a bit less prep than perhaps usual, but still just able to come in and play your own game, get those victories, and just play a step above everybody else is super impressive. So, Riku, once again, congratulations on your win, and we will see you next week. Perhaps you'll try to maintain that title for 3 weeks in a row. Give this time to you if you have any final words, any shout outs, where can we find you on Twitch and things of the like there?
My Twitch is Twitch TV/RicoNA. And yeah, shout out to my team WLG and to my dojo Cobra Kai.
I love it. I love it. Also, I really love your like I don't know if it's your follower or something where the Squirtle blows bubbles. Nice touch, my friend. But thank you for coming and having another great day today. 1 point victory, but 1 point's all you'll need to come back next week as the defending champ.
Thank you, thank you.
Thank you. Oh man, tonight was such a good night, Boop. We've had some
Was.
amazing games. It was so close and down to the wire. I think I wanted to take a moment and just go over just some takeaways from the day, at least from my point of view. I'm actually I was surprised. Of course, we see or we heard Riku in the interview say, okay, the patch is like pretty similar. Warwick is going to be a bit weaker, but I think we saw a lot of diversity when it comes to comps here. We saw people try to go for Dusk Ashe, legendaries, Zed, other comps as well, even
Yeah,
couple.
Diana and Aphelios Moonlight.
Yeah, yeah,
We
yeah,
had 4 Hunter. We had 6 Elderwood.
yeah,
We
yeah.
had 8 Warlord at one point, right? Yeah, tons. I mean, I think we might have seen everything except 6 Mage today.
Yeah, I guess Mage did get a bit of a buff, but people still not willing to run that one, however, yet. A bit of a letdown there if you're a Mage fan, but maybe in the future. But yeah,
Hey,
no,
you had
a
your
lot of
ocean
controversy.
mages back in the
Yeah.
day. You had your time. No, I'm just kidding. But I think one of my biggest takeaways is how important single rounds in the late game can be. There
Oh,
was
yeah.
a point where Riku was at like 18 HP and he faced off against Wolfey, who had, I think, like 45 HP at the time, but was biding his time to hit 9, right?
Yeah.
If Wolfey wins that round, we talk to him right now.
Yeah,
Right? Like, that's all
actually.
it took was the timing of Wolfey pushing 9 is why Riku is here, and Riku identified that and was able to claw, was at 2 HP for a while, was at 13 HP for a while, right? But did what he needed to do. But I think that's my biggest takeaway is just, like, you have so many rounds, but if, like, the timing comes in and the matchup
Oh, yeah.
happens in that way, if Wolfey faces maybe someone else and wins that round, you never know who we're talking to right now, but
Yeah.
Riku still had a really wonderful performance. I like it when I see a player come in and dominate and then have a close game too. It shows that kind of variety that a player needs to be successful in this world.
Definitely. And we get to see Wolfey again next week. So what improvement are we gonna see from Wolfey week to week? We know we've seen the week 1 to 2 to 3 Wolfey improvement. Only imagine it's gonna be keep getting better and better from there. So, you know, Riku, obviously, 2-week champion right now, playing super, super well. But again, the competition is going to be so, so strong. So any final words, Boop, before we close on out here for tonight?
Yeah, it's always a pleasure. I'm glad I got to be in high definition for the second half. Happy Hanukkah for those of you that celebrate it. We are going to be taking a little bit of a hiatus during the holiday season, but we still have at least one more week of TFT Fight Night Rising to go through before we
Yep.
get there. And once again, congratulations to Riku, who has been having a really crazy couple of weeks. But I think my last thought is I want to play like Within. I feel like my personality just matches like the first or eighth style, right? So if I can get third place, getting first, eighth, seventh, and then first, that's kind of where I want to be. So I know someone who I'm going to keep track of and maybe
Oh,
learn
yeah.
from
And
for my games a little later.
we'll see him again next week as well within getting that third place. But yeah, that'll be it for us here tonight on Fight Night Rising. We'll have one more fight night until the holiday season. So we'll see you all in 1 week's time. Take care, and may your roll downs and RNG be blessed by Mort Dog. Have a good night.